Chapter 2160. Senior, long time no see. How have you been recently? Qin Yun asked with smile. Not bad. It's just that someone impersonated my nameless god race and stirred up trouble everywhere, bringing a lot of hatred to our nameless god race. The nameless old man said with a smile, but that smile made Qin Yun's hair stand on end. Qin Yun said with a frown, I've heard of this matter. Previously, there was indeed a nameless god race guy who killed the primal chaos race's royal grandson. So it wasn't someone from the nameless god race. This guy is really bold. Not only did he offend the primal chaos race, he also offended the nameless god race. The nameless old man patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said with smile, Little friend, don't pretend. Others don't know, but I know that it was you who did it. Senior, you think too highly of me. Qin Yun said with smile. How could it be me? You really know how to joke. The nameless old man's expression sank and said solemnly, It seems like you still don't know the seriousness of the matter. I really didn't do it. Qin Yun already decided not to admit it even if he died. This mysterious nameless god race, who knows what they will do. It is also because they are in Medicine King City that Qin Yun is a lot more at ease and is not afraid of the nameless old man taking action. It really wasn't done by you? The nameless old man said with a puzzled expression. It's true. Qin Yun sighed and said, Why don't you believe me? The nameless old man did not continue to harp on the matter and said, Regardless of whether it was done by you or not, I want to tell you that the primal chaos race is not to be trifled with. The primal chaos race you met are not very strong. The truly powerful primal chaos race rarely show their faces. Qin Yun already heard about this matter from the Imperial Sound Heavenly Mother. Among the primal chaos race, different bloodlines have different strength. Then will the truly powerful primal chaos race appear in the Divine Desolate? Qin Yun asked. I can't say for sure. In short, there are more than 10 primal chaos divine sons in the primal chaos realm. Those primal chaos divine sons are also very powerful and can even devour the myriad realms' divine sons. The nameless old man said, You said before that after the royal grandson died, the matter would be very serious. Why do you say that? Qin Yun asked. They are flying in the sky towards the wild beheader manor. Qin Yun wants to find Dog God and the nameless old man is following him. The nameless old man said, Our nameless god race has been researching the power to restrain the primal chaos race for many years and has made good progress. That's why the primal chaos race hates us and wants to kill us all. Now that a primal chaos being has been killed by a nameless god, do you think the truly powerful primal chaos beings will appear? Qin Yun also thought of this problem before. He said with a frown, I heard that there are not many of them. There aren't many of them, but they are very strong. You are all saint gods, but one of them can fight against 10 of you. If there is no power to restrain them, they are extremely terrifying existences. The nameless old man said, Then I will pay more attention in the future. Qin Yun nodded. Fortunately, the appearance of the desolate gods has also led to the appearance of various powerful ancient clans. Therefore, the chaotic clan doesn't dare to be too arrogant in the desolate gods. The nameless old man looked at the 2 suns in the sky. At present, Qin Yun had only heard of the chaos race and the nameless celestial race. He never expected that there would be a very powerful race. What other powerful races are there? Qin Yun asked. When I was a palace king, I never heard of the primal chaos race and the nameless god race. Other than you, there are actually other powerful races? There is also the Nether Sun race, Divine Moon race, Divine Star race, Divine Heaven race and 9 Nether race. Of course, this is only what I heard. As for whether or not they still exist, I don't know. In short, these races are all very strong. The nameless old man said. What about your nameless god race? What kind of race is it? Why is it called the nameless god race? Qin Yun is very curious about this. Back then, the 9 Suns created 2 races. One was the 9 Suns royal race, the other was the 9 Suns heavenly race, and we are the 9 Suns heavenly race. The nameless old man said. Qin Yun tried very hard to recall because he had heard of this race before. Very quickly, he remembered that Mu Yu had once mentioned the 9 Suns heavenly race. The 9 Suns goddess and the 9 Suns heavenly race had a great relationship. The 9 Suns heavenly race would secretly help the 9 Suns royal race, but they would be restricted to a certain extent. Qin Yun said in shock. The 9 Suns heavenly race is actually the nameless god race. I heard that only 100 or so of you are left, is that true? That was many years ago. We now have tens of thousands of people. The 9 Suns heavenly race suffered many restrictions, making it very difficult for us to interfere with the operation of the 9 Suns and 9 Desolate. However, we have been observing the changes of the 9 Suns and 9 Desolate for many years and have gained a lot from it. Qin Yun brought the nameless old man to the Wild Beheader Manor and entered a small house. Senior, where does your 9 Suns heavenly race live? Qin Yun wants to know more about this race. We live in the 9 Suns heavenly realm and rarely come out. Our race has many experts that can fight against the primal chaos race. However, they can only go to the ancient desolate and cannot come to the divine desolate. The nameless old man saw that Qin Yun is deep in thought and said with smile, "Little friend, what are you thinking about?" Qin Yun said, "I am thinking, can the 9 Suns royal race really restore their bloodline? What kind of relationship do they have with your 9 Suns heavenly race?" The 9 Suns royal race was created by the 9 Suns to actively govern the 9 Desolate and control the nearby heavenly domains. However, who would have thought that there would be a problem later on? The nameless old man said. If there is a problem, then it is the heavenly law divine domain that is causing destruction, right? Qin Yun said. The heavenly Tao that controls the heavenly law divine domain comes from the divine sky race. It can be said that it is the strongest race. The nameless old man said. Divine sky race? Qin Yun's heavenly eye flickered and said, "Can the heavenly Tao be reborn?" He thought of Mu Yu. Back then, Mu Yu said that she wanted to return home. He suspected that Mu Yu came from the divine sky race. What puzzled him is that the nameless old man said that there is also the divine moon race. He doesn't know what kind of relationship it has with Mu Yu. Now you know how complicated the situation is, right? The nameless old man chuckled and said, "Also, even if the 9 Suns royal race appears again, they will not be the strongest." Qin Yun curled his lips. He previously said that the 9 Suns royal race was the strongest race in the divine desolate. This nameless old man told him so much just to slap his face. "Why are you telling me this?" Qin Yun said. "There are so many strong races. So far, I have only seen the primal chaos race and your 9 Suns heavenly race." The nameless old man looked at Qin Yun. His deep old eyes emitted a kind of light that can penetrate one's soul. He said, "Don't you want to know about your own life?" Qin Yun naturally wanted to know, but he could not find an answer even after so many years. He smiled and said, "I am a member of the Qin imperial clan." He only looked at his current life and did not care about his previous life. The nameless old man said, "To be honest, I am very curious about your life. I am not talking about your current life. I am talking about the origin of your soul. It doesn't matter. In any case, no matter where I come from, I am now Qin Yun." Qin Yun said with a smile. The nameless old man suddenly made his move. He placed his palm on Qin Yun's abdomen and poured in an incomparably powerful mental power. "What are you doing?" Qin Yun's expression changed as he roared. "Don't worry, I will check your divine profound Tao image. The nameless old man is a sacred god and he is from the 9 Suns heavenly race. He is naturally very powerful. In front of him, Qin Yun is like a little chick. He has no power to fight back." After checking, the nameless old man said with a blank expression, Your divine profound Tao image is very chaotic. Qin Yun groaned. Without the other party's permission, you recklessly checked other people. If not for the fact that you are an old man, I would have already hammered you to death. Your little secret is not a secret at all, the nameless old man said with smile. Back when I was in the sun's sacred land, I already more or less understood you. Qin Yun is very unhappy in his heart. His secret is still very important. Then tell me, what did you see? Why did you say that my divine profound Tao image is very chaotic? Qin Yun asked. Your ninth divine profound Tao image did not appear, but you have become a profound god. The nameless old man said with frown. This kind of thing is very strange, it is impossible. I have 9 divine profound Tao images. Don't tell me you are not surprised? Qin Yun asked. There's nothing to be surprised about. Although there aren't many people like you in the ancient races, there are still quite a few. The nameless old man shook his head. He was thinking about Qin Yun's 9th divine profound Tao image. Qin Yun did not disturb him and let him think. After a while, the nameless old man suddenly said, There might be another divine profound Tao image hidden in your body. What and what? I know very well how many divine profound Tao images I have. You have also checked just now. I only have 9 divine profound Tao images, and the 9th divine profound Tao image has not appeared, Qin Yun said. Generally speaking, only when the 10th divine profound Tao image appears will it not appear. Your divine profound Tao image, that does not appear, should be the 10th divine profound Tao image. The nameless old man said. That's why I said that you are still hiding a divine profound Tao image. Qin Yun is somewhat stupefied. His divine profound Tao image was cultivated one by one. It was impossible for one to appear without him noticing. Impossible, although I cultivate the divine profound Tao image rather quickly, there is a process. How could a divine profound Tao image appear and not let me know? Qin Yun said with a frown. Senior, you must be mistaken. The nameless old man said with a shocked expression. Then there is only one possibility. That divine profound Tao image was cultivated by you a long time ago, so you don't know about it. Is that so? Qin Yun rubbed his chin and said thoughtfully. If I had a divine profound Tao image, I should know about it. Think about it again. The nameless old man said. After Qin Yun thought about it carefully, he was suddenly alarmed. He thought of Ling Yun in the illusory space of the spiritual world. Chapter 2161. The nameless old man looked at the silent Qin Yun and said in low voice, Little friend, did you remember something? Is there another divine profound Tao image in your body? Qin Yun is certain that Ling Yun is his divine profound Tao image, and it is a rather special one. Yes, I just don't know that it is a divine profound Tao image. Qin Yun nodded and said, Senior, then what is going on with my 10th divine profound Tao image? Why did it not appear? Qin Yun always felt that it is very strange. He asked Lu Yushuyen, but she also doesn't know what is going on. I also don't know. I only heard of this kind of situation, and it is very rare. The nameless old man said. If it did not appear, then it must be the 10th divine profound Tao image. The nameless old man actually doesn't know. This made Qin Yun even more curious, but he can do nothing about the 10th divine profound Tao image. All right, it seems like I can only slowly cultivate it to find out what is going on. Qin Yun sighed. Little friend, this is a good thing. 10 divine profound Tao images, that is very powerful. The nameless old man said with mischievous laugh. Of course, this will also make it difficult for you to grow up. In short, it will make you very slow. Qin Yun doesn't care. He feels that he will be able to grasp large amount of resources to help him break through even faster. Oh, that's right, back at the Medicine King Plaza, was that little girl with you really your wife? The nameless old man asked. Indeed. What's wrong? Qin Yun said. She is Nine Sun Divine Maiden. Do you know what Nine Sun Divine Maiden means? The nameless old man said with a mysterious expression. What does it mean? Qin Yun promptly asked. Nine Sun Divine Maiden are the 9 strongest women created by the 9 suns. They are very different and each have their own mission. They will be the strongest existences in the 9 sun heavenly domain, but they will have to experience many tribulations before they can completely mature. The nameless old man said. Ah? What relationship does 9 Sun Divine Maiden have with other strong races? Qin Yun asked. Other strong races all want to obtain 9 Sun Divine Maiden. As for why, I still don't know. In short, even my 9 Sun Heavenly clan wants to obtain 9 Sun Divine Maiden. The nameless old man said. Hey, don't have any ideas about my wife. Qin Yun groaned. It's not what you think. Our 9 Suns Heavenly clan wants the 9 Suns Divine Maiden. We want to invite her back to our clan to watch over our 9 Suns Heavenly clan. With the 9 Suns Divine Maiden in our clan, we will receive the protection of the Divine Sun. There's such an ability? Why didn't I notice? Qin Yun stroked his chin. When he was with Xiao Yuelan, she said that the 9 Sun Divine Maiden would receive protection. The nameless old man said. That's because the 9 Sun Divine Maiden has yet to reach her strongest realm. Senior, if I were to create a Chaos Divine Sun, would I be able to use its power to become stronger? Asked Qin Yun. Of course you can. Chaos Divine Power is still very useful. If you can really create a Primal Divine Sun, then you will have enough confidence to face the other strong races. The nameless old man said. Qin Yun has already gathered enough materials. Now, he only needs to wait for Xieqiru. With her help, he can begin creating Primal Divine Sunday. After that, Qin Yun asked the nameless old man about the creation of the Chaos Divine Sunday. The nameless old man is very willing to share his knowledge in this area with Qin Yun. Qin Yun's understanding of the Primal Divine Sun is rather low. Now, he knows a lot from the nameless old man. He also knows that the 9 suns were almost transformed into Primal Divine Sunday. However, because of other reasons, they did not transform and instead turned into 9 heavenly suns. Primal Divine Sun can give birth to primal chaos creatures, and the 9 heavenly suns also possess this ability. That's why the 9 Sun Royal Family and 9 Sun Heavenly Clan were born. As for the other strong races, most of them were created from this kind of naturally formed celestial body. The reason why the nameless old man's 9 Sun Heavenly clan wanted to create Primal Chaos Divine Sun was mainly to fight against the Primal Chaos race and other strong races. The power of Primal Divine Sun is very formidable. If one could suppress the Primal Chaos Divine Sun and create Primal Chaos creatures and absorb the Primal Chaos Divine Sun's divine power, then they would be able to grasp a very formidable power. Qin Yun benefited greatly from the exchange with the nameless old man. Now, he only needs to wait for the Primal Chaos Divine Sun to be created and he can become even stronger. Even if he encounters a very strong Primal Chaos race person, he won't have to worry about not being able to defeat them. Senior, the big shots of the other Imperial race clans are all gathered together. Do you think they can reach an agreement to restore their bloodline together? Qin Yun said. Right now, Qin Yun needs to improve his body. If he could obtain the 9 Sun Royal Family's bloodline, then his body would become even stronger. It should be possible. I have to say, the power you displayed before is indeed very astonishing. I almost believed that you truly possess a complete bloodline. The nameless old man said with smile. I have too many divine profound Tao images. I've only cultivated one Xian God Tao vein, and my body can't withstand that Xian God power. Qin Yun said. I need the complete bloodline of the 9 Sun Royal Family to strengthen my body. The nameless old man chuckled and said, If it's only the 9 Sun Royal Family's bloodline, I'm afraid it's still not enough. You have 10 divine profound Tao images, which means that you have 10 Xian God Dao veins. After I obtained the 9 Sun royal family's bloodline, my powerful body is unable to withstand it. Qin Yun is somewhat astonished. To be honest, I've seen all 7, 8 and 9 divine profound Tao images. However, out of 100 of them, only 2 or 3 can survive. The nameless old man said. Why? Qin Yun's heart is alarmed. Because their bodies aren't strong enough and can't withstand the formidable power, they're all smashed to pieces by the formidable power, their souls scattered and they completely died. The nameless old man chuckled and said, most of the people who possess many divine profound Tao images are from powerful races. Qin Yun said with a face full of fear, doesn't that mean I have to be careful in the future? Although many divine profound Tao images can bring great power to people, there are also advantages and disadvantages, and the disadvantages are greater than the advantages. The nameless old man's expression became solemn. Even if you are very cautious, sometimes it's not up to you. If you can't control your power, it will directly explode and kill you. Qin Yun knows too little about the matter of many divine profound Tao images. He thought it was a good thing, but now it seems that it is also filled with danger. Just one bloodline is not enough. You can try fusing with multiple heavenly race bloodlines. And this is also very difficult to do. The nameless old man said, after I return, I will do my best to help you obtain the bloodline of our 9 Sun heavenly race. Fuse with multiple bloodlines? Qin Yun is somewhat astonished. The bloodlines of all the powerful races can make their bodies very strong. Moreover, these bloodlines can be obtained later on. The nameless old man said, of course, you must first obtain the 9 Sun bloodline as a foundation to avoid being corroded by other bloodlines. The nameless old man said before that there are many powerful races. It is indeed very difficult to obtain their bloodlines. Qin Yun said with a doubtful expression, Senior, do you have any purpose for helping me like this? Of course there is. But don't worry, my request will not be too excessive. I will return to the clan now and help you obtain bloodline. The nameless old man said. Qin Yun knows that the nameless old man must have some other thoughts. Alright, then we will contact each other again. Qin Yun took out a soul-chasing talisman and handed it over. You can use this to find me. The nameless old man took the soul-chasing talisman, nodded and said, then I will take my leave first, we will meet again. Qin Yun sent off the nameless old man. At this time, Dog God also arrived. The Dog God's true self had come in person, and he had even brought his consciousness with him. Qin Yun made them wait for a day, wait for his divine king heavenly seal to recover its energy, then use their God positions to create new Dog God and Mind God positions. This move of his caused Mind God and Dog God to be extremely shocked. Because these new God positions are only a bit weaker than their primordial God positions, but they can grow up in the future. You two go call Great Strength God and Ox God over, tell them my identity. Qin Yun said. Dog God promptly used Divine Communication Talisman to contact Great Strength God and Ox God, and told them to come to the Wild Beheader Manor. After they arrived, they signed a soul contract in a secret room, promising not to divulge Qin Yun's identity. Soon after, Dog God and Mind God told Ox God and Great Strength God about Qin Yun's identity as the King of Gods. Ox God and Great Strength God are only slightly startled after hearing this. They are not very surprised because they have already seen Qin Yun's strength. I knew that boss is not an ordinary person. Ox God laughed loudly and said, very good, we won't return to the Myriad Realms Divine Court in the future, we will follow boss. You two stay here for now. After a period of time, Evil God will also come. You two move in secret, when I need your help, I will find you. Qin Yun said. Alright. I have already had enough of those bastards from the Myriad Realms Divine Court. It is also good that we don't go back, we will have more freedom. Great Strength God said. Qin Zhongquang is an earth god, moreover, He is a forthright person, he can chat with these few people very well. He very much welcomes them to stay here. After Qin Yun returned to Flower Moon Pavilion, he learned that Lu Yu Shuyan and Xiao Yuelan are preparing to leave Qin Yao Royal City. They still have the mission of 9 Sun Divine Maiden. As for what they want to do, they did not say. Qin Yun snatched back a piece of Divine Universe Golden Stone from Heavenly Emperor Heavenly Mother. He wanted to give it to Lu Yu Shuyan, but she did not want it. Qin Yun is very reluctant to part with Xiao Yuelan, Lu Yu and Shuyan, but they have an important mission to complete. They have no choice but to leave. Before they left, they spent a sweet night with Qin Yun and then left Qin Yao Royal City at daybreak. Xiao Yuelan also took away Imperial Sound Heavenly Mother. With Imperial Sound Heavenly Mother accompanying them, Qin Yun feels a lot more at ease. As for Nangong Shueru and the others, they are returning to Guang Han Palace with Qin Huiyu. Star God and Xian Rujing are still at Flower Moon Pavilion. They will return to the Myriad Realms Divine Court to find out their movements. Nighttime, Qin Yun, Xian Rujing and Star God are at the top floor of Flower Moon Pavilion. They are looking at the many stars and the huge divine moon in the sky. Chapter 2162. After the seal on Star God's God position was lifted, she obtained even stronger power. She can even sense many stars and use them to set up formations in the sky. Every night, the Star God would cultivate on the top floor of the Flower Moon Pavilion. She absorbed a large amount of star energy to cultivate. While Star God is cultivating at the top floor of Flower Moon Pavilion, Xian Rujing pulled Qin Yun to a room. Sister Rujing, when will you return to Myriad Realms Divine Palace? Qin Yun pulled Xian Rujing's hand. Myriad Realms Divine Palace's great formation is formed by Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. I can become stronger even faster inside Myriad Realms Divine Palace. Xian Rujing hugged Qin Yun and said in low voice, Xiao Yun, I must become even stronger. Those primal chaos race are truly too strong. Qin Yun cannot continue cultivating. What he must do now is to comprehend and cultivate Xian Divine Dao veins. Joint cultivation cannot allow him to quickly cultivate Xian Divine Dao veins. Even if he cultivates it, his body won't be able to endure it. Are you going back with Sister Star God? Qin Yun asked. And that demon spirit is also very reluctant to part with you. Xian Rujing said with gentle smile. She is now working very hard in cultivation. Her God position has been sealed for too long. Now that the seal has been lifted, she must quickly adapt to it. This snow goddess, who is as beautiful as jade, is also incomparably alluring. Qin Yun can't help but hug her tightly in his arms, caressing her beautiful face lovingly. After they kissed, Xian Rujing said with smile, Xiao Yun, don't you also want to cultivate spirit? And Qin Yun nodded. Then I will help you. Xian Rujing finished speaking and released her ice snow fairies. These two fairies are both as beautiful and moving as Xian Rujing. Moreover, they each have their own charm. Xian Rujing has 2 fairies. She is cultivating together with Qin Yun through these 2 fairies. She is guiding Qin Yun to release the power within his body and condense the body of the fairies. Qin Yun wants to cultivate Ling Yuner. The power he will use is Nether Sun's power. Ling Yuner is considered a Nether Sun fairy. Using Nether Sun's power to cultivate her body is very suitable. Xian Rujing's 2 fairies have flesh and blood bodies. It can be said that they are exactly the same as Xian Rujing. Only they have a kind of special fairy power. Under Xian Rujing's control, these 2 spirits are cultivating Sun and Moon Heart Sutra together with Qin Yun. They are guiding Qin Yun to use Nether Sun power and condense spirit seed. It took him 3 days to make it. Alright. Xian Rujing looked at the spirit seed and said with smile. Later, as long as you continuously pour your power into it, you will be able to gradually cultivate a spirit body. Then you can transfer Yuner's consciousness inside. Xian Rujing took back the 2 beautiful fairies and put on her clothes. Qin Yun also stored the spirit seed into the 9-sun divine soul. Qin Yun and Xian Rujing walked out of the room and saw Star God sitting in the reception hall. I've been working hard on my cultivation these past few days. You two are having a good time. The Star God's pretty face was slightly resentful as she chuckled. Little sister Ice Snow, I didn't expect you to let your Ice Snow fairy come out to please little brother Xiao Yun. What nonsense are you talking about? I am helping Xiao Yun cultivate his spirit. Xian Rujing lightly groaned and pinched the Star God's charming face. Xian Rujing stuck out her tongue and said with smile, All right, let's quickly return to Myriad Realm's divine palace. Don't miss the great formation's power. Xian Rujing nodded. I will go look for Yalin, she is still in Jasper Flower Valley. The so-called power of the Great Formation was the descent of the myriad world's divine suns. Every once in a while it would be activated. The gods in the myriad world's divine court could absorb the special divine sun energy to cultivate. Of course, one must have God position to absorb it. Xian Rujing left Flower Moon Pavilion and headed towards Qin Mansion. Qin Yun and Star God are waiting here. Little brother Xiao Yun, I will be leaving soon, I really can't bear to part with you. Star God's extremely charming jade-like face is filled with reluctance and worry. She is wearing a purple dress, giving her a kind of elegant and noble temperament. However, her purple dress is very thin, making her look even more charming and alluring. Big sister Star God, those 9 sun sects have been chasing you for a long time, are they still chasing you? Qin Yun asked. Of course they are chasing me. Those guys' altars were transformed into Star God altar by me, they still remember this matter. Star God smiled charmingly, but I am not afraid of them, I am very strong now. The altars are in my hands and you are being chased by them, I feel very apologetic. I will surely teach them a lesson. Qin Yun said. Star God promptly arrived beside Qin Yun, sat on his thigh and said with smile, it's fine as long as they are in your hands. Those altars originally belonged to you. This charming and beautiful woman's eyes are now very clear, they are flickering with gentle ripples, they are filled with a kind of deep affection. Little brother Xiao Yun. Star God bit her lower lip and said in soft voice, Can you kiss me? Qin Yun did not reply and Star God kissed him. After they kissed for a while, Star God is very satisfied, she giggled and said, Little sister Bingxue will return soon. Qin Yun pinched her face and said, Big sister Star God, you can sense stars, can you capture star spirits in front of you? Of course I can, how strong do you want star spirits? Star God asked. The stronger the better. Qin Yun wants to use star spirits to refine a formidable world extermination spirit. With World Extermination Spirit, it will be even easier to use 9-sun World Extermination Scripture. Alright, next time we meet, remember to ask me. Star God smiled charmingly. Seeing such a delicate and sweet beauty, Qin Yun can't help but kiss her cherry-like lip. After a while, Xian Rujing and Xiang Yalin returned. They want to return to Myriad Realm's divine court together. Qin Yun escorted them to a large ship of Myriad Realm's divine court. After saying goodbye to them, he went to find Dog God. Dog God and the others know that Myriad Realm's divine court's great formation is about to open, but they don't want to go back. Even though Thunder God is under house arrest, their position is too low and they are discriminated against in Myriad Realm's divine court. They feel that staying in Qin Yao King City is better. Qin Yun took out a spirit-chasing talisman. It belongs to his father Qin Long, Divine Universe Ice Dragon, Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor, Scarlet Sun Dragon Mother. They followed Imperial Dragon Clan to Qin Yao King City. Qin Yun wanted to find them for a long time. He waited until all the elders of Imperial Dragon Clan went to Qin Manor before coming out of the city. Divine Universe Ice Dragon, Qin Long, Scarlet Sun Dragon Mother and Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor are all inside a small building outside the city. They are all very happy after Qin Yun arrived. Brat, you finally came. We have been waiting for you for a long time. Qin Long laughed loudly and then patted Qin Yun's shoulder. How did you recover your 9-son bloodline? Qin Yun laughed. He did not say it was fake. He only said with smile, Dad, your fire dragon god doesn't seem to have any sense of existence. That is because I am low profile. I am now a heavenly god. Ordinary people are not my match. Qin Long laughed loudly and said, Palace King, they have already discussed the matter of recovering bloodline. Now they are building the altar. When the time comes, we will all go and bleed. Divine Universe Ice Dragon said, I should also be able to obtain the complete 9-son bloodline. Although Divine Universe Ice Dragon was created by the heavenly law divine realm, his new body was cultivated in the sun's sacred land. Ice Dragon, I found the Divine Universe Thunder Dragon Pearl. Do you think there are any more Divine Universe Dragon Pearls in the Heavenly Divine Desolate? Qin Yun asked. Divine Universe Ice Dragon said, I don't know, but I can help you find them. Of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Divine Universe Dragon Pearl. The Dragon Pearls of other strong dragons are also fine. Is it a dead dragon? Qin Yun said. Xiao Yun, if we know where to find it, we will immediately go look for it. Qin Long said, I know that there is an ancient azure dragon's corpse somewhere. I will go look for it another day. Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor said with smile, Don't worry, leave this matter to us. We dragons are the best at finding this kind of thing. The reason why Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor is called Dragon Duke by many dragons is mainly because he has the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. Of course he knows that Qin Yun is looking for the dragon pearls to set up an even stronger 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. Suddenly, Qin Long took out his sun-suppressing divine arrow. His sun-suppressing divine arrow is exploding with raging flames and it is also trembling. What's wrong? Qin Yun asked. The 9-yang divine palace is nearby. Qin Long said with a frown. This 9-yang divine palace should have gone to the starry sky. It actually came back? That 9-yang divine palace was originally passed down by Qin Yun back then. Only because of some reasons, he could not stay in the 9-yang heavenly domain anymore, so he went to the depths of the starry sky. Now that the 9-yang divine palace has returned, it is very likely that it is related to the heavenly divine desolate. Qin Yun took out his sun-suppressing divine arrow. The reaction is also very intense. As expected, the 9-yang divine palace has returned. Divine Universe Ice Dragon said, Palace King, that 9-yang divine palace should be yours. Do you have any plans? I still don't know. The 9-yang divine palace has returned. It is very likely that it was summoned back by the myriad realms' divine sun. Qin Yun said, If the person controlling the 9-yang divine palace is very strong, then I won't be able to take it back now. Qin Long snorted. If they don't want to give it back, then we'll snatch it back. Qin Yun shook his head. Let's figure out the situation first. Although the 9-yang divine palace was created by me, in the many epochs that followed, it received the protection of the 9 suns. It is no longer the 9-yang divine palace that I created back then. At this moment, the earth suddenly trembled slightly. Qin Yun and others immediately walked out and saw a super-huge palace floating in the air. It looks like a flying island. The 9-yang divine palace returned from the starry sky. It actually directly came to Qin Yao King City. This is the 9-yang divine palace? It's so big. Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor exclaimed in admiration. The huge palace appeared in the air. It is dazzling with gold and jade, shining with light like the sun. It slowly floated over and erupted with a very strong aura, causing the earth to shake. This 9-yang divine palace is floating in the air near Qin Yao King City. All the big shots inside Qin Yao King City promptly left the city. Chapter 2163. The emperor clans gathered together and decided to build an altar to restore the nine-son royal family's bloodline. However, at this time, the nine-yang divine palace that has disappeared for many years suddenly appeared. The sudden appearance of the nine-yang divine palace shook all directions. Not long after the big shots of other factions left Qin Yao royal city, they received this shocking news. As for why the nine-yang divine palace appeared and how powerful it is, they still don't know. They only know that this large island-like divine palace is definitely closely related to the myriad realms divine Sunday. Just like the Heaven Creation Divine Palace back then. Heaven Creation Divine Palace obtained formidable power through the myriad realms divine sun and also has great influence on the myriad realms divine court. It can be said that the Heaven Creation Divine Palace is the existence that supervises the myriad realms divine court. The Divine Judge also said before that he will invite the people of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace to investigate the matter of the Thunder God. I still don't know what has become of the nine-yang divine palace, but no matter what, this divine palace has some relationship with me. I will go and understand it clearly. Qin Yun has very complicated feelings towards the nine-yang divine palace. Back then he created this powerful nine-yang divine palace, but later on because of a disaster, he has not returned to this divine palace for many years. Now the nine-yang divine palace has appeared. It has been remodeled and looks extremely powerful. Qin Yun looked at the divine palace and sighed with emotion in his heart. Then let's enter the city and ask about the situation. Divine Universe Ice Dragon said. The nine-yang divine palace that just appeared is now floating in the sky. No one has come out. Qin Yun returned to Qin Yao Royal City and headed towards Wild Beheader Villa. Dog God and others are here. They only know that a very large building has appeared. They don't know that it is the nine-yang divine palace. Inside the Wild Beheader Villa, Qin Yun and others are floating in the sky above the medicine garden. They are looking at the huge divine palace outside the city to see if anyone will come out. That is the nine-yang divine palace, Qin Yun said. Is that so? Boss, I heard that this nine-yang divine palace was created by you back then. Dog God said in low voice. But that was back then. I haven't returned for many epochs. The current nine-yang divine palace has nothing to do with me. Qin Yun said. How can it have nothing to do with you? If this divine palace still uses the name Divine Palace of Nine-Yang, then this divine palace is yours. Exactly. No matter what, the reputation of the nine-yang divine palace was established by you back then. Otherwise, how could it have spread until now? The Ox God said. I heard that many of the totems within our deity positions were created by the nine-yang divine palace back then. As for nine-yang divine palace, they control a large number of runes. They must be your inheritance. Vigor God said. Qin Yun said, let's wait and see. I don't even know who is in control of the nine-yang divine palace right now. If I can get the nine-yang divine palace on the right track, it doesn't matter if I don't go back. Actually, he did not have much nostalgia for the nine-yang divine palace. The most powerful thing about the nine-yang divine palace were those mysterious runes. As for the runes of the nine-yang divine palace, Qin Yun had basically mastered all of them. He had all the runes that the nine-yang divine palace had. The nine-yang divine palace might not have the runes that he had. It was not only Qin Yun and company. Many people in the city were floating in the air, looking at the huge temple and discussing it. Just then, Granny Qianghua arrived. Granny Qianghua's flying boat is very fast. It is rampaging around and almost hit people. But other people cannot say anything because the flying boat does not allow people to float in the air. Those people are flying too high. Even if they were hit, they deserve it. In Qin Yao King City, the height at which people fly is different from the height of flying magic tools. This is also to prevent collisions. After Granny Qianghua arrived, she saw Qin Yun and shouted, "Xiao Qin, quickly come with me." "Where to?" Qin Yun asked. To the 9 Yang Divine Palace. 9 Yang Divine Palace's people want to see you. They want to confirm that you have 9 Sun bloodline. Granny Cheonghua said. Qin Yun suddenly covered his heart and said, Granny, my injuries are very serious, I can't go. Tell them that I am in seclusion healing, it is not convenient for me to go out. He does not have 9 Sun bloodline, this matter must not be exposed, otherwise the other imperial race clans would not join hands to create the altar. Alright then. Granny Cheonghua is not sure whether or not Qin Yun has 9 Sun bloodline. Qin Yun said that he does not have it, but Granny Cheonghua thinks that he does. After Granny Cheonghua left, Qin Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. Not long after, they saw many people flying towards the huge divine palace. Mainly the other big shots of the imperial race. They were invited to enter the divine palace, even Qin Zhanquang went. Originally, Qin Zhanquang did not want to go, but Qin Yun asked him to investigate. Therefore, he listened to Qin Yun and ran over to see the situation inside. Qin Yun also asked Qin Zhanquang to bring Dog God with him. Dog God can discover even more things. In this aspect, Dog God is the best at investigating. Qin Yun is also not idle. He is cultivating the spirit inside the floating cloud pagoda. He is constantly releasing Nether Sun's power and pouring it into the spirit seed, condensing the body of the spirit for Ling Yuner. The body of a spirit is very special. It can have flesh and blood, but it can also transform into mental intent and hide in the illusory space. If he succeeds in cultivating this, Qin Yun also plans to help Little Ant Queen cultivate a spirit body. He once planned to let Ling Yuner fuse with Little Ant Queen, but later he found out that Ling Yuner is a mysterious spirit Tao image, so he decided not to act recklessly to avoid any problems. Ling Yuner is very concerned about Qin Yun's cultivating spirit. From time to time, she reminded Qin Yun to cultivate her body better, to have long legs and so on. Cultivating a spirit body requires a certain amount of time. After all, you are a god-level spirit. In the blink of an eye, a day passed. On this day, people in Medicine King Qin City all know that the huge divine palace is the 9 Yang Divine Palace. And this news also spread among many factions of Divine Desolate. Many big cities know that the 9 Yang Divine Palace has arrived in the vicinity of Medicine King Qin. Qin Zhanquang and Dog God came back at dawn. What surprised Qin Yun is that after they came back, they have changed a lot. This is mainly reflected in their divine power. Their divine power has become a lot stronger. What's going on? You guys have become a lot stronger. Qin Yun said in surprise. That's because we have God position. Those guys from 9 Yang Divine Palace sensed our God position and let us go to a place to cultivate. We stayed there for a night and our divine power became stronger. Dog God said. They also said that as long as you have God position, you can freely enter 9 Yang Divine Palace, but the premise is that you sign a soul contract and don't destroy anything inside. Qin Zhanquang said. Old Qin, did they see your God position? Qin Yun asked. They saw it. Qin Zhanquang said. They saw my God position and let me and Brother Dog go in. Qin Yun is secretly happy. Qin Zhanquang's God position is a new God position created by him using Divine King Heavenly Seal and Primitive Earth God's God position. 9 Yang Divine Palace did not discover that the God position is a new God position. Oh, that's right. What's going on with that 9 Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun asked. From what we know, this 9 Yang Divine Palace wants to help the Emperor race build an altar to restore 9 Sun bloodline. 9 Yang Divine Palace's people also said that they want to gather Divine Inscription Palace, Heavenly Dan Palace and Heaven Creation Divine Palace together. Will Divine Inscription Palace, Heavenly Dan Palace and Heaven Creation Divine Palace listen to 9 Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun said with frown. It seems like 9 Yang Divine Palace wants to establish a huge faction. If Nine Yang Divine Palace has enough formidable power, it won't be a problem. Dog God said. Old Qin, call Granny Cheonghua over. Tell her that I have an important matter to discuss with her. Qin Yun said. I can only ask those upper echelons. Shao Qin, won't it be fine if you enter Jasper Flower Valley with me? Qin Zhanquang laughed wildly. I am worried that the other big shots are all inside Jasper Flower Valley. Qin Yun shook his head. Qin Zhanquang immediately went to find Granny Cheonghua. Granny Cheonghua arrived very quickly and arrived at Wild Beheader Villa not long after. Qin Yun and Granny Cheonghua entered a secret room. Granny, what did you talk about when you entered the Nine Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun asked. I heard that the Nine Yang Divine Palace wants to help the imperial family recover their bloodline. Granny Cheonghua nodded and said, Yes, they said that they will do their best to help us. With their help, we will be able to build that altar in about 10 days. 10 days? So fast. Qin Yun is somewhat happy and said with smile. Then did they raise any conditions? Yes. It is he who wants us to select a portion of the outstanding disciples and send them to the Nine Yang Divine Palace after we recover our bloodline. Of course, those disciples can return to the clan in the future. Granny Cheonghua said. That's not too much. The Nine Yang Divine Palace has many good inheritances. Qin Yun nodded and said, It seems like this Nine Yang Divine Palace is quite righteous. Granny Cheonghua said with smile. Of course the Nine Yang Divine Palace is righteous. Back then, the Palace King who founded the Nine Yang Divine Palace fought against the evil forces of the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. Furthermore, most of the inheritances of the Nine Yang Divine Palace were left behind by that Palace King. Qin Yun is the Nine Yang Palace King. He naturally knows about this matter. Oh right. Who is the current big boss of the Nine Yang Divine Palace? Have you seen her? Qin Yun asked. I have. She is a very young woman. She is very beautiful. I can't tell how strong she is. Granny Cheonghua said. She said that she is the manager of the Nine Yang Divine Palace and her name is Bai Si. She told us to call her Bai Si. Bai Si? What a strange name. And it's even a woman? Qin Yun stroked his chin and thought about the person surnamed Bai. He suddenly recalled that when he was the Palace King, the Divine Palace had a white tiger, a divine beast that protected the Divine Palace. This Bai Si is most likely the descendant of the white tiger. Then, how is the overall strength of the Nine Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun asked again. Chapter 2164. Qin Yun already had a preliminary understanding that the Nine Yang Divine Palace that had returned from the starry sky was quite good. When he was in the Immortal Desolate, he met a group of people who were chased out by the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Those people were very bad and they even colluded with the Dark Royal race. Granny, what do you think of the overall feeling of the Nine Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun asked. You want to enter the Nine Yang Palace? Granny Cheonghua smiled and said, Don't worry. With your qualifications, you will definitely be able to enter. Qin Yun said with a smile. It's not that I want to go in, I just want to understand a little bit. I am, after all, a member of the Qin Imperial clan. After our Nine Yang bloodline recovers, there will be a batch of youngsters entering the Nine Yang Sacred Palace. I am worried that the Nine Yang Sacred Palace will conspire against us. That's right, this matter concerns the future of our Imperial clan. We must investigate the background of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Grandma Cheonghua said, Shao Qin, don't worry. There are so many old foxes in our Imperial family. They will definitely be able to ensure the safety of our young disciples. Although Qin Yun said that he did not want to enter the Nine Yang Divine Palace, he was once the Palace King of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. He had deep feelings for the Nine Yang Divine Palace. In the depths of his soul, there were many memories regarding the Nine Yang Divine Palace. He still wanted to go in and take a look. Granny, what's the rough process of the myriad realms' divine sun helping us restore our bloodline? Asked Qin Yun. We don't know the process, but the White Commander of the Nine Yang Divine Palace said that as long as the altar is constructed and successfully activated, all the Emperor clan members under the myriad realms' divine sun will be able to recover their Nine Yang royal family bloodline. Granny Jade Flower said. In that case, I can also recover in this villa? Said Qin Yun with a smile. It was similar to what he had guessed. There was no need to be by the altar. This meant that even Qi Meilian, Xiao Xianqin, and Yuan Yenying, who were in the divine moon of the heavens, would be able to obtain a powerful Nine Yang bloodline. Yes. However, we don't know the specifics. According to White Commander, the Nine Sun royal family's bloodline is different. Grandma Jade Flower said. Qin Yun recalled that the Chaos race's Chaos bloodline was also divided into different grades. Back then, the Nine Yang royal family's bloodline was more or less the same. There was no difference between them. Then what are the factors that determine whether the restored bloodline is good or bad? Qin Yun was very puzzled about this. I don't know. We'll have to wait until we recover before we have a rough understanding. It won't be long. We will know in 10 days. Grandma Qianghua said. Granny, I don't want to see those old fellows. I won't see them for now. Qin Yun said. To be honest, I don't have the bloodline of the Nine Sun royal family. The reason why I am so strong is because I used a forbidden secret technique. Grandma Qianghua nodded and said with a smile, Well, if you don't want to see him, then don't. I will protect you. Thank you, Granny, for understanding, Qin Yun said with smile. I'll return to Jasper Flower Valley first. If you need anything, tell Zhan Kuang to find me, Grandma Jasper Flower said. Qin Yun sent Granny Qianghua out and finally felt relieved. The Nine Yang Divine Palace did not turn bad and was still the same as before. Now, Qin Yun was looking forward to seeing how strong his body would be after he fully recovered his bloodline. If his physical body was greatly improved, then he could continue to open the profound God Dao Meridian. At night, Qin Yun will cultivate his fairy body. During the day, he will stroll around the city, buy some materials or buy some good divine talisman papers. After the formation of the Divine Desolate, there are even more divine tier materials. Qin Yun previously robbed the Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Emperor and Poison God, so he has more than 3 billion Sun God crystals in his hands. Those Sun God crystals are mainly Sun God crystal cards. If you want to exchange for Sun God crystals, you can go to the Divine Crystal Bank in the various divine cities. They are all built by the Myriad Realms Divine Court. If you want to exchange for a large amount of Sun God crystals, you need to make an appointment in advance and let the Divine Crystal Bank prepare. Qin Yun doesn't need ready-made Sun God crystals, so he can directly use the God Crystal card. He and Dog God's clone are in a large market in the city. They want to buy some special divine tier materials. Those materials are all used to refine tools. Qin Yun plans to modify the Nine Heavens Dragon Lion cannon into an even stronger pistol. Furthermore, he feels that every time he fires a bullet, it is a waste. Therefore, he plans to refine an even more powerful bullet that can be used repeatedly. For example, the bullet is very sharp and refined with very good divine tier materials. It can easily break through the shields of all kinds of divine armors. After piercing through the divine armor, it can return to the gun through a special reaction. As for those one-time use bullets, although they are very powerful, they are refined with a lot of precious materials. Once they explode, they are gone. Therefore, he feels that if he wants to use precious materials, he might as well seriously make a bullet that can be used repeatedly. However, this involves many aspects. Not to mention the strength of the materials, a small bullet needs to be engraved with many complicated runes. For a bullet to break through a divine armor's shield and pierce through the divine armor, just the sturdiness of the material and the bullet's speed are not enough. It also requires the bullet to have a certain special ability. This requires the bullet to be engraved with many kinds of runes to break through different kinds of shields and penetrate different kinds of divine armors. Furthermore, the bullet must have a strong enough perception and a very large and stable space to store energy inside. This way, after the bullet flies out, it can sense itself and consume the energy inside to fly back. Apart from this, Qin Yun also wants to refine many of these bullets that can be recycled. This way, he can fire many bullets in one shot and use them to form a killing formation or something. It will also have a very good effect. These past few days, Qin Yun has been staying inside the secret room and fiddling with these things. It can be said that this is a very powerful great killing tool. Naturally, it looks very small. After being modified, it is no longer called Nine Heavens Dragon Lion Cannon, it is now called God King Spear. This God King Spear is white and very beautiful. It can be held with one hand and has many storage spaces inside. Each of these storage spaces has different kinds of bullets or sun flame liquid. When needed, this pistol can release a large amount of sun flame liquid and shoot out fierce flame. When I have time in the future, I will make some more bullets. Qin Yun played with the white pistol and felt very satisfied in his heart. This pistol can be considered a rather strange thing in the heavens divine desolate. If he takes it out, no one will know what it is and there is no way to guard against it. And as long as Qin Yun fires a shot, the opponent will not be able to dodge in time and their doghead will most likely explode. Back then, he had traveled to that blue planet. There were many guns there. In that place there was also something called cell phone. That is why he, Immortal King Fu Yun, created the Devil Mirror in the Immortal Desolate. It was also a copy of that cell phone. Later on, he died before he could make it, but his disciple Devil Mirror Immortal Emperor made it. Heaven's Divine Desolate does not have something like Devil Mirror. This makes Qin Yun feel very inconvenient and also very difficult to make. Unless he can control the space here or has a certain understanding of Myriad Realms Divine Sun and Myriad Heavens Divine Moon, he can use these two huge celestial bodies to quickly transmit information. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days passed. At the center of the Qin mansion, a circular altar appeared. No one is allowed to approach the surroundings of the Qin mansion, only Imperial clan disciples are present. Nine Yang Divine Palace also sent many people to patrol the surroundings to prevent other factions from causing trouble. One must know that other factions do not want the Nine Sun royal family to appear. And now, the Nine Sun royal family has reappeared in the Divine Desolate. This is an unstoppable force. Adding the appearance of Nine Yang Divine Palace, there is no longer any faction that can stop the Imperial clan from restoring their bloodline. The altar is like a huge pillar. It is erected at the center of the Qin mansion. The Imperial clan's 9 clans have the most people. Now they are all beside the altar. The altar is placed in a very large pit. The pit is used to store blood. The pit is connected to many wide canals. Many canals crisscrossed within the Qin mansion. And the Imperial clan people and dragons are beside those dried-up canals. Just as the sky brightened, a bell rang and the Imperial clan disciples began to bleed. A large amount of blood flowed through more than 10 canals and into the pit where the altar is located, soaking it. An incomparably intense blood energy suddenly rushed into the sky. The entire Qin Medicine Royal City is immediately enveloped by dense blood energy. The runes on the surface of the altar are flowing with blood. Qin Yun followed Qin Zhanquang and quietly sneaked into the Qin mansion. He followed beside Qin Zhanquang to bleed. There are a lot of disciples from the 9 powerful clans of the Imperial clan. In total, there are more than 1 million. A large number of disciples from the Imperial clan are waiting outside the Qin mansion. They are all carried out in batches, continuously letting out blood. The altar is absorbing the blood very quickly, ensuring that the altar is soaked in blood until noon. Batch after batch of disciples from the Imperial clan took turns to go into battle. After letting out enough blood, they retreated to rest. After recovering, they would begin again. Inside and outside the Qin Medicine Royal City, there are many people waiting. The spies of the various powers are all paying close attention. Especially the Primal Chaos Race, Heavenly Law Divine Realm and Nine Suns sect. They are all rather afraid of the Nine Suns royal family. At noon, the altar is no longer absorbing blood. At the top of the altar, an intense red light suddenly surged out and shot towards the largest Myriad Realms divine sun in the sky. After the Myriad Realms divine sun absorbed the blood energy that soared to the sky, it suddenly exploded with an intense golden light. In that instant, all the disciples of the imperial clan in the Qin mansion burst into cheers. The entire Qin Medicine Royal City seems to be boiling. It can be seen that all the people or dragons with the bloodline of the imperial clan are surging with powerful energy. Roar, roar, roar! Waves of dragon roars rang out. After obtaining the Nine Suns bloodline, the dragons of the imperial dragon clan became even stronger. At this moment, the group of dragons had all turned into huge flying dragons, coiling around the Qin Medicine Royal City. Chapter 2165. Qin Yun also felt that the blood in his body suddenly became incomparably scorching hot, as if it wants to melt his flesh and bones. Although he feels somewhat uncomfortable, Qin Yun is still very happy because his flesh and bones are being soaked in scalding hot and powerful blood. They are becoming stronger very quickly. What made Qin Yun puzzled is that other people don't seem to be in pain. What's going on? Could it be that I am an exception? Qin Yun is somewhat puzzled. Furthermore, he suddenly felt that his Nine Sun divine vein is like 9 dragons swimming around in his body. This caused him to feel incomparably uncomfortable because this kind of feeling is like 9 incomparably scorching hot thorns are drilling inside his body and even drilling into his bones. Even his head is affected. This won't do, I need to quickly find a place. Qin Yun promptly left the Qin mansion and returned to Wild Beheader Villa. He hastily arrived at a secret room, unleashed Heaven's Might Tyrant Body, and operated 9 Extinction Divine Body technique. Qin Yun looked at his nether sun. It is crazily revolving and continuously spewing out energy to attack his body. The power of 9 Sun bloodline is truly terrifying. Qin Yun only felt that his entire body is about to melt. This was mainly because his blood had suddenly become very powerful. He felt that if his blood dripped out, it would definitely be able to ignite a large forest. It is as dreadful as the sun flame liquid. Now, Qin Yun finally understood why Yang Yang can casually drink the sun flame liquid. It is because her body is strong enough that she is not afraid of the sun flame liquid. Thinking of this, Qin Yun took out the small black bottle and drank a mouthful of the sun flame liquid. Pah! So disgusting! Qin Yun couldn't bear it after drinking a mouthful. It is not that he can't bear it, but the taste is not good at all. He can't understand how a little foodie like Yang Yang can drink such a disgusting thing. The power of his bloodline is rapidly improving Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun also felt that his 9 Sun divine vein has become incomparably active. He suspected that the reason why he is feeling so uncomfortable is because of the 9 Sun divine vein, which can absorb a large amount of bloodline power. My bloodline might be stronger than others, Qin Yun thought in his heart. Qin Yun is silently cultivating in the cultivation room. He is operating 9 Extinction Heart Sutra to refine the bloodline power. That was the power bestowed by the divine sun of the myriad realms. It could make one's physical body stronger and make it easier to absorb the power of the divine sun of the myriad realms. In the past 3 days, the entire Medicine Qin royal city was in a frenzy of celebration. All the members of the emperor clans were extremely excited about recovering their royal bloodline. This time, those who could recover their bloodlines had become the new 9 Suns royal tribe. They were exceptionally precious and did not want to lose such a powerful bloodline. Therefore, they had to unite. They would also fulfill their promise and select disciples to be sent to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. As for how the new Nine-Yang royal family would unite, that would depend on how the older generations discussed it. In short, the first thing they did after recovering their bloodlines was to sign a soul contract with the big shot. The main content of the contract was that when one side was in trouble, all sides would come to help. In this way, everyone could fight against the enemy together. Over the past 3 days, some people had completely fused with their bloodlines on the first day, obtaining great power. Some people needed 2 or 3 days to completely fuse with it. Most people completed the fusion within 3 days. Only a small portion of people were still in seclusion after 3 days. These people all had very powerful bloodlines. 5 days passed. In the sky above a courtyard in the Qin Manor, 9-colored divine light suddenly appeared. Furthermore, the divine light turned into a dragon. It was an Emperor Dragon clan disciple who had just fused with his bloodline. 5 days later, 9-colored divine light would appear in the sky above the Qin Manor from time to time. This meant that these people's bloodlines were very powerful. Young, middle-aged and old people all wanted it. This kind of phenomenon only appeared more than 2,000 times. This meant that only 2,000 people possessed the powerful 9-Sun royal tribe bloodline. On the 10th day after the altar was opened, many elders floated in the sky above the Qin Manor, waiting for the phenomenon to appear. Those who appeared on the 10th day definitely had a stronger bloodline. And on the 10th day there were only a few dozen people. Almost all of them came out of seclusion. Grandma Qianghua said, "It seems like the later they fused with their bloodline, the stronger their bloodline power. We still have to gather them and carefully study the specific situation." King Qin Hua said, "Oh right, what about that kid Qin Fei?" Medicine King Qin looked at Grandma Qianghua and said, "Is his injury still not healed?" "Not yet." Grandma Qianghua also doesn't know where Qin Yun is. She went to the Wild Beheader Villa before but she couldn't find Qin Yun. Qin Yun is in a secret room deep under the Wild Beheader Villa. 10 days have passed and he is still cultivating. The reason why he drilled into the ground is because he feels that it is better underground. He can use the treasure land of Qin Yao Royal City to absorb myriad realms' divine sun power. In the depths of Medicine King City, many divine sun power secretly rushed into Wild Beheader Manor and entered Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun doesn't know when it will end, because he can feel that the powerful bloodline inside his body is very hungry. It is constantly devouring the power of myriad realms' divine Sunday. That's why he went deep underground. This way he can better and faster absorb the power. Qin Zhangquang used 8 days to fuse and refine the bloodline power. He was also summoned to the Qin Manor. 9-Sun Divine Palace sent many people to research the new 9-Sun bloodline. Qin Yun cultivated in pain. Unknowingly more than a month passed by. He can feel that the pain on his body is gradually lessening and everything inside his body is like it has been reborn. Whether it is bones, muscles or internal organs, they have all been melted by the powerful bloodline and reformed into even more powerful ones. Deep underground, Qin Yun looked at his own heart. The biggest change is his heart. His heart is like a very small myriad realms divine sun. It is beating very normally inside his heart. My sun heart has become like this? Qin Yun is secretly shocked. He promptly took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. His sun-suppressing divine arrow has also changed greatly. Originally it was black but now it has turned light gold. Moreover, there are 9 dragons coiling around it. The 9 dragon carvings have 9 different colors and can release 9-colored light aura. Restoring 9 sun bloodline, the effect is really good. Qin Yun is secretly happy, then left the deep underground and came to the surface. He did not see Qin Zhangquang, and all the divine flowers here have already been harvested. It seems like I have been in seclusion for more than a month. Old Qin doesn't want this medicine garden anymore? Qin Yun hastily took a bath and changed into a set of clean white clothes. Dog God! Qin Yun yelled. Dog God has always been here. He also knows that Qin Yun is in the wild beheader manor. The fatty promptly ran out of the house and yelled, Boss, you finally appeared. Dog God, where is old Qin? Qin Yun asked. He also wants to see Qin Zhanquang's current situation. He should have gone to the Nine Sun Divine Palace. Dog God said with smile, and then informed Qin Yun about the recent situation. Qin Yun immediately learned that after the altar opened, those who needed more than 7 days to refine their bloodline have all been summoned to the Nine Sun Divine Palace. The longest time is around 12 to 13 days. Boss, don't tell me it took you a month? Dog God said in amazement. Then why didn't I see the 9-colored phenomenon? My situation is rather special. Qin Yun is also very suspicious. According to reason, his 9-colored phenomenon should be very big, but Dog God did not see it at all. Therefore, he is even more anxious to find someone who has recovered their bloodline to compare. Oh, that's right, Miss Hua Yu has also returned. She came to find you. I heard from her that it took her 15 days to fuse and refine her bloodline. Dog God said. Did she fuse and refine it in the Guanghan Palace? Qin Yun asked. And she is very strong. This little girl is only a profound god, but I am not her match. Your 9-son royal family is truly dreadful. Dog God exclaimed in admiration. Dog Deity kept staring at Qin Yun's forehead. Boss, why is there nothing on your forehead? Dog God said. Qin Yun rubbed his forehead and said, Why do I need something? Dog God said, Old Qin has a 9-colored flame mark on his forehead. It looks like a small ball of flame. He said it is 9-sun divine mark, a mark bestowed by myriad realms divine sun. Qin Yun took out a mirror and looked at himself. Then he kept rubbing his forehead and said, Motherfucker! I don't have it. Then am I not from 9-sun royal family or not? Boss, all the people I met from 9-sun royal family have this mark. Lady Hua Yu and the 3 brothers have it. Boss, have you recovered your 9-sun bloodline or not? Dog God said with doubtful expression. Of course I have recovered. Qin Yun can sense that his body has improved greatly. But why doesn't he have 9-sun divine mark? Did old Qin tell you the use of 9-sun divine mark? Qin Yun asked. He didn't say, but it must have some use. Boss, are you alright? Dog God said. Dog God is very worried because Qin Yun's situation is very special. Qin Yun thought about how his heart has become like myriad realms divine sun and immediately felt relieved. But he still wants to confirm the specific situation. He also wants to know whether or not other emperor race people's hearts have changed after recovering their bloodline. He took out the spirit-chasing talisman to find Qin Long. Qin Long is the same as him. He has sun-suppressing divine arrow. In order to use sun-suppressing divine arrow, he also cultivated sun core. After he arrived outside the city, he discovered that the spirit-chasing talisman is pointing towards 9-sun divine palace. Let's wait for Dad to come out. Qin Yun put away the spirit-chasing talisman and was about to return to the city when he saw a white-robed old man wearing bamboo hat flying over. Senior! Qin Yun yelled in pleasant surprise. This old man is precisely the nameless old man. I have been waiting for you for several days. You finally came out of the city. You are truly awesome. Even I don't dare to enter the city. The nameless old man said. Chapter 2166. Restricted Approach? Senior, you can't enter the Medicine King City? Qin Yun is somewhat shocked, then he looked at the myriad realms divine sun in the sky. The nameless old man said, I can enter, but I will have to pay a great price. Maybe I will even be punished by the myriad realms divine sun. Qin Yun and the nameless old man arrived outside the city, found a quiet place, and took out the floating cloud pagoda. They entered the floating cloud pagoda and started talking business. Senior, didn't you say that you would do your best to help me obtain the 9-sun heavenly race bloodline? Qin Yun said. Did you get it? The nameless old man laughed awkwardly and said, I didn't get it, but I will definitely get it. It's just that you have to express your sincerity first. I already have the bloodline of the 9-sun royal family, and it's very powerful. How much can your 9-sun heavenly race bloodline improve my body? Qin Yun is somewhat doubtful about this. If he were to fuse with the 9-sun heavenly race bloodline, his body would not improve and there would even be conflict. Wouldn't that be a huge loss for him? The nameless old man chuckled and said, Little friend, don't tell me you think that having the 9-sun royal family bloodline is enough? Qin Yun indeed felt this way because after recovering the 9-sun royal family bloodline, the improvement of his body is very obvious and it is much stronger than before. That's right. My current body is enough to bear the burden of opening 10 Xian God Dao veins. Qin Yun said with certainty. Every time he opened a Xian God Dao vein, a powerful force would flow into his body through the Dao vein. If his body was not strong enough, his body would be torn apart by that power. The nameless old man shook his head and smiled. You have only opened 1 Xian God Dao vein now. When you open 2 more, you won't be able to say that. Little friend, your situation is different from others. Even if you don't have 10 divine profound Dao images and only have 6, you won't be able to bear it. Why? Qin Yun said with a frown. Xiao Yuelan and the others all have 6 divine profound Dao images, but they are completely fine. Because your single divine profound Dao image is very strong, so the Xian God Dao veins you opened are also very strong. The nameless old man smiled and said, If you don't believe me, it's up to you. Qin Yun thought about it carefully. Previously, he had only opened 1 Xian God Dao meridian and his body had already reached its limit. If he had 2 profound God Dao veins, the divine power that erupted from him would definitely be even stronger. Then how do you want me to express my sincerity? Qin Yun was also persuaded by the nameless old man. He planned on fusing with the 9 suns heavenly race's bloodline. I want 2 divine universe goldstones first. After I give you the 9 suns heavenly race's bloodline divine source, you can give me 8 more, said the nameless old man. Qin Yun was slightly alarmed. He thought that this nameless old man had more divine universe metal stones in his hands. He never expected that he would be so lacking in them. This is a bit much, but this is the price. The nameless old man said, The 2 divine universe golden stone you gave me now, I used them to bribe them, otherwise I wouldn't be able to get my hands on the bloodline divine source. How did you know that I have the divine universe goldstone? Asked Qin Yun. Heh, those 2 heavenly mother heavenly emperors previously snatched the divine universe golden stone of the death god, but they were all finished off by you. I think that their divine universe golden stone should be in your hands. The nameless old man chuckled. The nameless old man was also present at the scene at that time. He saw Qin Yun take away the heavenly emperor heavenly mother's storage magic tool. Qin Yun deliberately put on a very pained expression and took out 2 very small divine universe goldstone and said, Here, but you have to sign a soul contract with me. I am too honest and have been tricked many times before. With a soul contract, I can be more at ease. The nameless old man secretly despised Qin Yun. He is actually so shameless to say that he is honest. After signing the soul contract, both Qin Yun and the nameless old man revealed a smile. Senior, after they recovered their 9-sun royal family bloodline, they all have some 9-sun divine mark on their forehead, but I don't. Qin Yun pointed at his forehead. This is a normal phenomenon, there is nothing strange about it. The nameless old man said. What is a normal phenomenon? Those who possess 9-sun royal family bloodline all have 9-sun divine mark, right? Qin Yun is still very doubtful. Let's put it this way, The reason why you don't have it is because you haven't completely obtained the approval of the myriad realms' divine Son. The nameless old man said. What do you mean? Why haven't I obtained the approval? Qin Yun feels even more baffled and said, but I clearly possess a powerful body through the nine-son royal family bloodline. Not only that, he has also cultivated an even stronger divine son heart. His sun-suppressing divine arrow has also undergone a great transformation. After people with 9 sun divine mark die, their soul will fly to the myriad realms divine sun and then go through reincarnation within the myriad realms divine sun. You don't have 9 sun divine mark. It means that after you die, your soul will not fly to the myriad realms divine sun. The nameless old man said, there is another possibility. Your soul already belongs to someone else. Qin Yun's expression is filled with amazement as he said, there is such a situation? Then after I die, where does my soul usually go? Didn't you die a few times already? The nameless old man said with smile, why are you asking me? Why don't you die again? I seem to have gone to the 9 nether realm before. Isn't it very normal to go to the 9 nether realm? Qin Yun said. Then maybe you were like that before but not now. If you die again, your soul will not go to the 9 nether realm. The nameless old man said, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter if I don't have 9 sun divine mark, as long as I obtain the power of bloodline. Qin Yun looked at the nameless old man's forehead and said, does your 9 sun heavenly race have something like 9 sun divine mark? Of course we do. But my 9 sun divine mark is not on my forehead. Moreover, it is somewhat different from the 9 sun royal families. The nameless old man said with smile. So you also have it? Quickly let me see. Qin Yun is somewhat surprised and promptly said with smile. Do you really want to see it? It's on my butt. The nameless old man said with mischievous smile. He already turned around to take off his pants. Fuck your grandpa. Qin Yun promptly kicked him. You wanted to see it yourself. Why did you kick me? The nameless old man dodged. Why do your 9 sun divine marks grow on your butt? Qin Yun curled his lips and said. Our 9 sun divine marks are like birthmarks, they grow randomly. And those of you who recovered your 9 sun bloodline have a fixed location, they all grow on your forehead. Maybe Myriad Realms' Divine Sun thought that it would make it easier for you to be recognized in the Divine Desolate. The nameless old man said. Qin Yun looked at the 9 sun Divine Palace and said, that Divine Palace suddenly appeared and even helped us recover our bloodline. Is this the intention of Myriad Realms' Divine Sun? Of course. After you, the 9 sun Divine Palace received many aspects of help from the 9 suns and now it even has the full support of Myriad Realms' Divine Sun. The nameless old man said. Qin Yun is somewhat puzzled. When he first created the 9 sun Divine Palace, he did not receive many aspects of help from the 9 suns. He only received a little bit of help from time to time. The nameless old man has already returned. He said that he would be able to obtain the 9 sun heavenly race's bloodline divine origin in about a month. Qin Yun knows that the 9 sun divine mark situation is very serious. He did not go find Qin Long and instead returned to the Wild Beheader Villa. Next, he has to hurry up and open the second mysterious god Dao Meridian. Qin Yun is quietly comprehending inside the floating cloud pagoda. He opened the first mysterious god Dao Meridian through the heavenly Dao rune. This means that his heavenly Dao rune is currently connected to that mysterious god Dao Meridian and is continuously obtaining divine power. Moreover, it is a very special and powerful heavenly Dao divine power. And next, Qin Yun does not know how to open the Dao Meridian through that mysterious god Dao image. The relationship between the mysterious god Dao image and the Dao Meridian is very close. The Dao Meridian opened by different Dao images will obtain different amounts of divine power. Opening the mysterious God Tao meridian mainly depends on one's comprehension ability. One must comprehend the heavenly Tao. The stronger the mysterious God Tao meridian, the better. The more power that would flow into the Tao meridian, the more power that would fuse with the power of the myriad realms divine sun, it would be able to fuse into a very powerful divine power. Qin Yun is in seclusion and knows nothing about the outside world. His comprehension ability is extremely high, so he quickly comprehended the profoundness of the Tao meridian. Suddenly, his divine saber Tao image trembled. This time, the mysterious God Tao meridian was opened through the divine saber Tao image. Does this mean that when I use saber-type weapons, my power will be even stronger? Qin Yun sensed the mysterious Tao power pouring into his body through the two Tao meridians. After the Tao power entered his body, it absorbed the energy of the myriad realms divine sun through the 9 sun divine veins. The two types of energy fused, and the divine power seemed to have exploded. It was fierce and powerful. Qin Yun took a deep breath and then activated all the divine power in his body. The two mysterious God Tao meridians also roared and released divine power. Qin Yun controlled the formidable divine power and circulated it within his body. He wants to see if his body can withstand this power. Yuner, release even stronger divine power. Qin Yun shouted. Ling Yuner also released the power of her little nether Sunday. Many streams of divine power converged and flowed within Qin Yun's body, causing his body to continuously release berserk divine power aura. The floating cloud pagoda also slightly trembled from the impact of the formidable power. Qin Yun continued for a while before withdrawing the divine power. How is it? Ling Yuner asked. My body is very strong, now I don't feel any pain at all. After opening the third mysterious God Tao meridian, I don't know if it will still be this easy. Qin Yun secretly believed the nameless old man's words. When he opened the third mysterious God Tao meridian, his body might not be able to keep up. Qin Yun took a bath and walked out of the floating cloud pagoda. Several people came to the wild beheader villa. Qin Long, Qin Zhanquang, Dog God, Divine Universe Ice Dragon and Dragon Jew, they all came. After seeing them, Qin Yun is also very happy and promptly walked over. You all have 9 sun divine marks. Qin Yun saw that Qin Long also has a 9 sun divine mark on his forehead and said in shock. Why don't you have it? Qin Zhanquang shouted. Little Qin, is there a problem with your bloodline? No, I'm fine. It's just that my situation is a bit special. Qin Yun chuckled. Qin Long said, We came here to bid farewell to you. We will be leaving for a period of time. Chapter 2167. Qin Long and the others have just recovered their bloodline not long ago, and they already have something to do. It sounds like a rather difficult task. It can be seen that they will be gone for a long time. Will it be dangerous? Asked Qin Yun. It's not too dangerous, we just need to find a mountain. That mountain is very important to the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Moreover, we dragons are needed to find that mountain. Divine Universe Ice Dragon said. It's good that it's not dangerous. Qin Yun smiled and said, Then how long will it take? A few months. We will also take a look and see if we can find a dragon pearl for you. Qin Long patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said with smile, Let's go, we have something to tell you. Qin Yun promptly brought Qin Long to a secret room. Inside the secret room, Qin Long's expression became serious and said, Xiao Yun, do you know why the 9 Yang Divine Palace suddenly appeared? Qin Yun is also very puzzled. He can only guess that the reason why the 9 Yang Divine Palace appeared is related to the myriad realms Divine Sunday, Divine Desolate, has been formed for more than 100 years. It is indeed a bit late for the 9 Yang Divine Palace to return now. Qin Yun said, Dad, do you know why the 9 Yang Divine Palace came back? I'm not too sure. In short, According to what I know inside the Nine Yang Divine Palace, the Nine Yang Divine Palace is going to fight a great battle. And when the time comes, the outstanding disciples of the Nine Yang royal family will all be warriors. Qin Long said. Why do you think so? Qin Yun is greatly shocked. We all received very good treatment, and the Nine Yang Divine Palace also very clearly expressed that they want to nurture us into warriors who are very good at fighting. Qin Long said. That White Commander also said that the Nine Yang Divine Palace and the Nine Yang royal family will become one in the future. Qin Yun's eyes turned back and forth. He thought of the ancient races that the nameless old man mentioned. Now, if the Nine Yang Divine Palace wants to start a war, only those ancient races can match the power of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Dad, is the Nine Yang Divine Palace stable? Qin Yun said. I just want to understand clearly, but I don't want to enter the Nine Yang Divine Palace again. Qin Long said. Xiao Yun, the situation inside the Nine Yang Divine Palace is rather complicated. We have seen White Commander and a few other elders of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Their relationship isn't that good. Bad relationship? Could it be that they were secretly fighting for something? This is not a good thing. Qin Yun said. There are too many internal struggles, it will bring about great influence. Qin Long nodded, patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said, The Nine Yang Divine Palace needs you. If possible, I suggest you enter the Nine Yang Divine Palace to take a look. But, Qin Yun looked troubled. What? You are the Palace King. Qin Long laughed. You are just going back to take a look, you just need to hide. To be honest, I feel guilty towards the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Although I am a Palace King, in the next few epochs, Nine Yang Divine Palace had nothing to do with me. If not for Nine Yang secretly helping me many times, Nine Yang Divine Palace would have already ceased to exist. He had very special feelings for the Nine Yang Divine Palace, but he also knew that the fact that the Nine Yang Divine Palace could still exist until now had nothing to do with him. Therefore, he was worried that if he returned, it would cause the Nine Yang Divine Palace to become even more chaotic, unless he had enough strength to obtain the recognition of the Nine Yang Divine Palace's upper echelons. You are also considering this for the good of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. However, if the Nine Yang Divine Palace is facing a crisis, if you are in the Nine Yang Divine Palace, you can more or less help. Qin Long said. Dad, will the Nine Yang Divine Palace be in danger? Qin Yun asked doubtfully. From the current situation, the Nine Yang Divine Palace should be developing quite well. Qin Long shook his head and said, According to my experience and intuition, the situation inside the Nine Yang Divine Palace is rather complicated. As for the specifics, you will need to figure it out yourself. All right, it seems like I can only make a trip to the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun sighed. Qin Long laughed. Next time I see Yun Long, I'll ask him again and ask him to bring your mother over. Our family will reunite once more. As long as we are still alive, it is equivalent to a reunion, Qin Yun said with a smile. In his heart, he is still very much looking forward to seeing his mother. After Qin Long and Qin Yun left the secret room, they went to the great hall outside and ate and chatted with Qin Zhanquang, Divine Space Ice Dragon and others. After eating and drinking, Qin Long, Divine Space Ice Dragon, Qin Zhanquang and Immortal Desolate Dragon Emperor left the Qin Medicine King City together. Dog God and others will temporarily stay in the Qin Medicine King City. They all have God positions and will receive some preferential treatment in the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun is thinking about how to enter the Nine Yang Divine Palace. If he wants to enter, there are many ways. For example, let Granny Qianghua bring him in. He is the one who defeated Primal Chaos Race's Qin Fei and is also a very powerful pill master. Another way is to use God position to enter. With God position, he can also enter the Nine Yang Divine Palace. If he doesn't want to expose Qin Fei's identity, He can create a rain god position for himself and then easily enter the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. After some consideration, Qin Yun decided to use Qin Fei's identity to enter the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Only like this can he stay inside more comfortably. After thinking it through, Qin Yun sent Dog God to Jasper Flower Valley to find Granny Cheonghua. Granny Cheonghua immediately rushed to the Wild Beheader Villa. After seeing Qin Yun, she said in shock, "Shao Qin, you haven't recovered your bloodline?" Qin Yun doesn't have 9 Sun Divine marks, so he can see it with a glance. The situation is rather special. Qin Yun said, "Granny, I don't have 9 Sun Divine marks. Will it affect my ability to enter the Nine-Yang Divine Palace?" "Of course not. You are the one who helped our Nine-Yang royal family to be reborn. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace has always welcomed you," Granny Cheonghua said with smile. "All right then, take me to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace," Qin Yun said. He also wants to meet the general manager called White Death. This general manager White has great influence in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. He is certainly not a simple person. Granny Cheonghua took out a small flying boat, carried Qin Yun and flew towards the huge Divine Palace floating in the sky outside the city. After approaching the Divine Palace, Qin Yun's mood is very complicated. Because this kind of feeling is very familiar, it gave him many beautiful memories. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace is still the same Nine-Yang Divine Palace. All kinds of great formations have not changed much. Qin Yun closed his eyes and sensed the familiar feeling. The gate of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is very large. After entering, there is an incomparably spacious palace hall inside. It is like a super huge plaza. It can easily accommodate tens of thousands of people. There are many big and small doors all around the palace hall. Qin Yun followed Granny Cheonghua. Walking on a red carpet in the middle of the hall, they walked towards a golden door. Qin Yun looked all around. He seems very curious. This spacious palace hall is not decorated very luxuriously. On the contrary, it has a kind of vicissitudes feeling. Only some places have been decorated and improved. This place still gives Qin Yun a very familiar feeling. In the past, many powerful heavenly god puppets gathered in this palace hall. They were the puppet army created by him. They are all very powerful. Shao Qin, this is the palace hall of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. This is a very sacred place. We gathered here before. Then a small myriad realms divine sun appeared in the sky above the palace hall and directly transmitted a lot of formidable power to us. Granny Cheonghua said with smile. "So awesome," Qin Yun said with smile. "This is your first time here. Don't you feel that this place has a kind of indescribable shock?" "When we first came here, it was the same," Granny Cheonghua said. Qin Yun is not at all unfamiliar with this place. It can be said that he is the person who understands the internal structure of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace the most, no one else. Qin Yun just smiled. The feeling this palace gives him is only familiarity and nostalgia. There is no other special feeling. Finally, Granny Cheonghua led Qin Yun through the incomparably spacious palace hall and entered the solemn door. There is a light screen on the door. Only with the permission of the person inside can they enter. When Granny Cheonghua led Qin Yun in, she touched the light screen. If the person inside allows them to enter, they can enter. If they can't enter, they will be blocked by the light screen barrier. After passing through the light screen, there is a lake inside and they can see the dark blue sky. Qin Yun and Granny Cheonghua are now walking on the 9 zigzag bridge above the lake. The 9 zigzag bridge is shaped like a dragon. It is also very big. Walking on the bridge is like walking inside the body of a curved dragon. In the middle of the lake is a very large flat land. It is full of flowers and plants. There is a 3-story light blue small building. The small building is built with blue crystal. It looks very beautiful. 9 Dragon Lake. Qin Yun said in his heart. In the past, this is the place where I raised dragons. Little Qin, this place is really good. there is another heavenly cave inside the palace. This is a space. Granny Chunghua said with a smile. Don't you think it is very magical? And Qin Yun looked around and nodded. He looked around to see if there are any other changes. But in Granny Chunghua's eyes, Qin Yun is like a curious baby. Arriving at the small building in the middle of the Nine-Dragon Lake, Granny Chunghua shouted, White Commander, do you still remember that Qin Fei? I brought him here. And, Granny Chunghua, bring him in, wait for me in the hall. An ethereal woman's voice came. Granny Chunghua led Qin Yun into the hall and said, White Commander, I still have something to do, I will leave him here, don't make things difficult for him. All right, White Death said. Qin Yun also wanted to meet this strange name, White Commander called White Death. He only wanted to know why she called herself by such a name. If it was a man, it would be fine, but it was a woman who called him by such a name. Qin Yun waited in the hall, thousands of thoughts running through his mind, especially in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. It evoked many memories, all of them are of the past. Chapter 2168. Qin Yun doesn't know what happened to those little dragons in the end, or whether they are still in this Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Back then, in the Divine Desolate, there were several Nine-Yang Divine Palaces, and this Nine-Yang Divine Palace was the main palace. It was the best hidden one. The other Nine-Yang Divine Palaces were destroyed, and only this one remained. Qin Yun had originally thought that even the Nine-Yang Divine Palace would be destroyed. The hall is very quiet. Qin Yun closed his eyes, and along with the familiar feeling, he constantly recalled the time when he was in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Suddenly, someone came in. Qin Yun immediately opened his eyes. An old man wearing a luxurious golden-red robe walked in with two young men. This old man is wearing a golden crown with a dragon carved on it. His sunken eyes are filled with viciousness. Just his gaze alone is very frightening. Although he is dressed in a dragon robe and a dragon crown, his entire body does not have the might of a dragon. Instead, it gives people the feeling that he is a vicious poisonous snake. The two young men behind the old man also have cold and arrogant expressions on their faces. Qin Yun never expected that the White Commander would actually have a guest. Soon after, a fat red-clothed old woman walked in with a delicate red-dressed woman. When Qin Yun saw the woman, he is extremely alarmed. That woman was someone he knew. Her name was Wang Xiangtong, and she was also that little sister. Wang Xiangtong's grandfather was once a member of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace, but he was later chased out. When she was in the Immortal Desolate, she even sparred with Qin Yun in inscription battle technique, and lost to him. Of course, she did not recognize Qin Yun. Back then, Wang Xiangtong thought that Qin Yun was an old fellow, but later on, she found out that his real name is Qin Yun. Later on, she also learned many things about Qin Yun. Old Yellow Snake, is this the disciple you just accepted? Why does he look so weak? The old woman said with a look of disdain. Qin Yun is not surprised that the old man who looks like a poisonous snake is called Old Yellow Snake. Old Mother Bear, is the disciple you just accepted very powerful? The old yellow snake said with sneer. This little girl is a human and my disciples are all very strong human transformed divine beasts. Old Mother Bear laughed and said, So what? The old yellow snake no longer said anything and only shut his mouth. Following that, another person walked in. The person who entered was a chubby old man with a round face. The fat old man wore simple black clothes and walked in with a rather handsome young man. Qin Yun recognized the round-faced fat old man. He was the sect leader of the ancient Pill God sect, Gu Tianyue. Gu Tianyue brought his son, Gu Yongli. When they saw Qin Yun, they pretended not to know him. However, they were very alarmed in their hearts. Both father and son knew Qin Yun. They knew that this young man was at the profound god realm. He had beaten up a group of chaos race gods and killed the heavenly mother and heavenly man who were at the heavenly god realm. They hurriedly transmitted their greetings to each other. Sect Master Gu, what are you doing here? Qin Yun asked with a voice transmission. Our ancient Dan God sect is in alliance with the Nine Yang Divine Palace. The White Commander has invited me to discuss business. Gu Tianyue replied, I don't know those two, but they seem to be from the Nine Yang Divine Palace. It seems like their positions are quite high. At that moment the White Commander arrived. She walked out from a door, wearing a simple set of white clothes. Her long braid hung in front of her, and she carried a long sword in a black scabbard on her back. Her face was very delicate and pretty. Her jade-white face was small and exquisite. Her pair of beautiful eyes carried a faint sense of majesty that made people feel a little afraid. This White Commander was also a beauty, and she was a petite and exquisite kind. Wang Xiangtong, this little sister, looked rather petite, and the White Death, this steward, was actually a little shorter than her. However, this petite and dainty White Commander gave off a very strong spiritual pressure. Everyone stood up and greeted her politely. She placed the long sword on her back on a table, and her beautiful eyes swept across the crowd. Finally, her gaze landed on Qin Yun. Qin Yun faced it indifferently. White Death was looking at him, and he was also looking at White Death. You are the Qin Fei that Grandma Qianghua brought with her? White Death looked at Qin Yun and asked with some doubt. Qin Fei. Hearing this name, the old yellow snake and the old bear mother were extremely shocked. Because this Qin Fei was an influential figure. The youngsters behind the old yellow snake and old bear mother are now staring at Qin Yun. They previously heard that Qin Fei is a one-eyed dragon. They never expected him to be so handsome. Even White Death felt somewhat surprised by Qin Yun. This one is indeed Qin Fei. Qin Yun said with smile. You recovered the 9-son royal family bloodline. How come you don't have 9-son divine marks? White Death looked at Qin Yun and said with frown. That's because I'm sick. Qin Yun replied in a deadpan manner. Everyone is startled. Sick? 9-son divine marks are gone? How could such an awesome person get sick? Everyone is very puzzled. White Death is even more puzzled and asked, What disease? Skin disease. Qin Yun replied earnestly. Everyone immediately sank into silence. Skin disease means no 9-son divine marks. This can be explained. Is that so? What kind of skin disease can erase 9-son divine marks? White Death said in disbelief. I don't know either. Maybe it's because the 9-son divine marks and my skin have some conflict, so it won't appear. The Dragon Palace elder outside shouted. If you agree to her, you will definitely regret it. This damned girl, White Death, has mastered a supreme secret technique. Even if you sign a soul contract with her, she can still go back on her word. White Death's beautiful eyes are filled with helplessness as she looked outside the door. At this time, she also controlled the light screen outside to open, allowing the Dragon Palace elder to enter. Qin Yun is no stranger to the Dragon Palace. Within the 9 Yang Divine Palace, there are 9 great halls and the Dragon Palace is one of them. Even in the past, the Dragon Palace had a lot of authority. The Dragon Palace elder in front of him is a fiendish old man wearing brown battle armor. The dragon might from his body scared the hell out of old ancestor Yellow Snake. Even Mother Bear was a little afraid of this Dragon Palace elder. Dragon Palace elder, my decision concerns the future development of the 9 Yang Divine Palace. The divine pills I want can help the great God Realm royal family disciples become stronger faster. White Death said. I know, but have you ever considered that after the young people of the 9 Yang royal family become stronger, they might just leave? The Dragon Palace elder snorted. Those fellows are all incomparably arrogant, especially those with powerful bloodlines. They are very difficult to tame. White Death said. Your Dragon Palace is in charge of the Imperial Dragon Clan. They all have to give you some face, right? The Dragon Palace elder cursed in a low voice. Those old fellows can give me face, but the young people can't. All of them are arrogant. They all feel that they are invincible in the world, and this is all because of that brat called Qin Fei. This guy easily defeated the royal grandson of the primal chaos race, causing the other disciples of the 9 Yang royal family to feel that they are as strong as Qin Fei. Gu Tianyue said doubtfully, "Is that not the case?" The Dragon Palace elder snorted. "How could that be? According to the information I have, Qin Fei is a profound god. He can instantly kill the great god of the primal chaos race, and even kill the heavenly god realm heavenly emperor. This is not as simple as having a bloodline." "Then what's the reason?" Qin Yun asked. "Who knows what the reason is? In short, those 9 Yang royal family disciples are all led astray by this Qin Fei. When I see this Qin Fei, I will definitely beat him up and let those arrogant royal family disciples know how powerful I am," the Dragon Palace elder said with a displeased expression. Chapter 2169. The Dragon Palace elder is dumbfounded. He never expected that the legendary genius of the Qin family would be here. Furthermore, he looks so ordinary. Furthermore, he did not see any characteristics of the 9-Sun royal family's bloodline from Qin Yun. Whether it is aura or 9-Sun divine marks, these obvious characteristics are absent. This is also what Mother Bear, Old Yellow Snake and Gu Tianyue were very puzzled about. Even if Qin Yun does not have 9-Sun divine marks, he should have the aura of the 9-Sun bloodline. Qin Yun's bloodline aura is not obvious and he does not know why. Of course, it is certain that he cultivated a powerful body through his bloodline. "Are you really that kid?" The Dragon Palace elder is very surprised because in his understanding, this kind of genius must be very arrogant. However, Qin Yun is not arrogant at all. Qin Yun's arrogance is reflected in another aspect. When dealing with people, he is very easygoing. Dragon Palace elder, didn't you say that you wanted to beat him up? White Death smiled and made a gesture. "Please begin your performance." "Elder, how about this? You said that those young geniuses are very difficult to tame, then I can help you destroy their spirit." Qin Yun said. "Right now, let White Commander complete the transaction first." The Dragon Palace elder frowned. "This? Can you really deal with them? I have heard of your strength, but you don't seem very powerful. You don't even have 9-Sun divine marks. Rumor has it that you used poison to defeat the primal chaos race. One must know that before the battle with the primal chaos race, as an alchemist, Qin Yun used poison to defeat those young alchemists. Therefore, some people suspect that he secretly used a very powerful poison without being discovered. Of course I can deal with them. If White Commander obtains the batch of divine pills she wants, she will definitely not give them out easily. If the young people of the 9-Sun royal family are not well behaved, they will not be able to obtain the divine pills." Qin Yun said. "Dragon Palace elder, I know you are angry, but our 9-Yang divine palace needs new blood. We need a group of powerful youths to join us." White Death sighed. At this moment, she also felt that Qin Yun is very different. He does not seem like a young and frivolous genius. The Dragon Palace elder hesitated for a moment and said, "All right then. If you want to distribute the divine pills, you have to get my permission. You can't give them to those little bastards so easily." After the Dragon Palace elder stopped obstructing them, the transaction was completed smoothly. Gu Tianyue, Mother Bear, and Old Yellow Snake followed the Dragon Palace elder to collect a portion of the Sun God crystals. If Qin Yun stayed, he would die for nothing. "You are quite surprising." Bai Si looked at Qin Yun, her beautiful eyes flowed with hope, her small and exquisite beautiful face revealed a sweet smile. "Then, what kind of person do you think I am?" Qin Yun laughed heartily. "White Commander, is there someone bad-mouthing me?" White Death said with a smile, No, I just feel that you should be a very cold and arrogant person. Back then, Qin Yun was indeed very arrogant when facing the Chaos Clansmen, but that was only a deliberate act he put on to agitate the Chaos Clansmen. Many people also remembered this side of him, so there were rumors that he was a very arrogant genius and so on. White Manager, the Nine Yang Divine Palace is lacking people, right? Qin Yun asked. Yes, there is a lack of talented youngsters. Are you willing to join the Nine Yang Divine Palace? White Death laughed and said, Don't worry, I will definitely take special care of a genius like you. Then how do you plan on taking special care of me? Qin Yun crossed his legs and stared at White Death's dignified eyes. I will give you the best resources, give you the best help. White Death said. I don't lack resources and you can't give me the resources I want. Qin Yun said with certainty. It seems like I don't understand you well enough. White Death said with some doubt. Although you are powerful, I feel that you are not much weaker than the youngsters of the Dragon Palace. Qin Yun said. Youngsters of the Dragon Palace? Did they just recover their 9-son royal family bloodline? Then they are definitely not my match. White Death laughed lightly and said, If you use poison, I am also not your match. Qin Yun felt somewhat depressed. Back then, when he beat up the Primal Chaos Royal Grandson and instantly killed the Heavenly Mother Heavenly Man, many people saw it with their own eyes. Even now, there are still people who suspect him of using poison. He secretly guessed that someone might be deliberately discrediting him and slandering him. It is extremely likely that it is the Nine Sons sect, Thunder God Hall and Heavenly Law Divine Domain. Alright, I am a pill master and I am also very strong. What can your Nine Yang Divine Palace give me? Qin Yun said. It seems like you are quite arrogant. You actually look down on our Nine Yang Divine Palace. White Death smiled sweetly, but your arrogance makes me feel that it is somewhat cute. Qin Yun touched his face and said with a smile. Some people say that I am handsome, some people say that I am honest, some people say that I am vicious, but there are very few who say that I am cute. Our Nine Yang Divine Palace is not bad, we have all kinds of inheritances here. Our inheritances can be said to be among the best in the Divine Desolate. Especially the inheritance of inscription. I heard that you are also an inscription master. Our inscription is sufficiently attractive to you. White Death said seriously. Qin Yun found it somewhat funny. Most of the inheritances of the Nine Yang Divine Palace were left behind by him. The thing he lacked the least was the inheritance of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. He still had not completely figured out the situation of the Nine Yang Divine Palace, so he could not reveal his identity, lest he be killed by some hidden evil person. Seeing that Qin Yun did not speak, White Death said again, I know that you are a rare genius. If you want to ask for too much from me, that is fine. However, the prerequisite is that you must understand the situation of our Nine Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun said, You misunderstood my meaning. I am not trying to ask for too much. I don't want anything, I just want some privileges. I will stay in the Nine Yang Divine Palace, but you must not interfere with my life or travel, nor can you arrange for me to do anything else. White Death was extremely shocked. She never expected Qin Yun to think this way. Qin Yun smiled and said, Don't worry, if the Nine Yang Divine Palace needs me to fight, as long as I am still alive, I will definitely go on stage. You really don't want anything? White Death did not dare believe it. Although the Nine Yang Divine Palace did not have many resources, it still had some. Especially for people at the profound God realm, it was sufficiently attractive. The other thing was the inscriptions. The Nine Yang Divine Palace had many inscriptions. This was also the reason why the Nine Yang Divine Palace had been able to stand tall for so many years. I will see what the situation is like. Of course, if you don't give it to me, I won't have any objections. Qin Yun said. Alright, you can stay in the Nine Yang Divine Palace. I will give you the privileges you need. White Death felt that there was no harm in doing so, so he agreed. Qin Yun wanted to stay in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. He also wanted to investigate the attitude of the people in charge of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace towards the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. In addition, the Nine-Yang Divine Palace clearly had their own grand plan. Qin Yun also wanted to figure it out. At this moment, he was also secretly sighing. In the end, he still couldn't let go of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Now, he was extremely concerned about the situation of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. White Commander, why are you called White Death? This name doesn't sound good, Qin Yun said. This is the first time someone has dared to ask me this question. White Death laughed and said, You're really quite arrogant. Aren't you afraid of anything? Qin Yun chuckled and said, White Commander, could it be that I'll be killed just because I asked you a question? You look so petite and cute, what's there to be afraid of? Petite and cute? White Death's beautiful eyes narrowed and she said with a chuckle, You are indeed very bold. No wonder you dare to argue with Thunder God and Divine Judge. You haven't answered my question yet, Qin Yun asked. He only wanted to know if White Death had anything to do with the White Tiger back then. White Death's expression suddenly became very serious. Moreover, it carried a hint of coldness. A faint, killing intent appeared in her eyes and between her brows. She stared at Qin Yun and Qin Yun stared at her. The atmosphere in the small hall suddenly became very oppressive. However, Qin Yun still maintained a relaxed smile as he watched White Death. He knew that White Death was testing him and giving him a very strong mental pressure. After the two of them looked at each other for a moment, a smile suddenly appeared on White Death's face. She said, I died the moment I was born. In addition, my father was the White Tiger, so he named me White Death. Qin Yun was startled. In his memories, the White Tiger divine beast that protected the Nine-Yang Divine Palace back then did indeed have a little daughter. She died the moment she was born and her soul was still trapped in her body. It was a very powerful curse power that caused the soul to be trapped in the body. It was extremely painful. The White Tiger was very sad, so he asked the Nine-Yang Palace King for help to seal his little daughter's body and soul so that she could sleep peacefully. And after the little tiger girl was sealed, her body had always been in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. After that, Qin Yun did not know where the White Tiger went or what happened to the White Tiger. Because after he died as the Palace King, he had always been tortured by the heavenly law divine realm. You died the moment you were born. Why are you still alive? Qin Yun took a deep breath and asked. Because this divine palace gave me a new life. White Death said. In short, no matter what, I will protect this divine palace forever. Qin Yun said. What about your father? He is a white tiger, a very powerful mythological beast. He's dead. He died miserably, White Death said with a calm expression, and I can't avenge him because I have to protect this divine palace. This is also what he told me before he died. Qin Yun's expression is also very calm, but his heart is filled with incomparable anger. A kind of anger filled with strong killing intent suddenly spread out. Chapter 2170. When Bai Si heard that Qin Yun wanted to avenge her, she felt surprised and touched at the same time. Who killed your father? Qin Yun really wanted to avenge the White Tiger. I don't know either. White Death let out a soft sigh. She, who had been calm all this while, suddenly had a sorrowful look on her face. How could you not know? Didn't he mention it to you before he died? Qin Yun felt that Bai Qing might have deliberately concealed it. Bai Si shook his head and said, he didn't say it, mainly because he was worried that I would take revenge for him. I really don't know. I also wanted to investigate, but I kept holding back and didn't investigate clearly. Qin Fei, let's not talk about this anymore. I am already very grateful that you have such intentions, White Death said with a smile. Yes, I want to go to the Dragon Palace Hall, Qin Yun said. That Dragon Palace elder thinks that I have led those 9 Sun royal family youngsters astray, so I will help him teach them a lesson. White Death shook his head and smiled. Forget it. If you don't use poison, you won't be a match for those guys. They all have the bloodline of the 9 Suns royal family and are very powerful. Why are you so sure that I used poison? Qin Yun had a helpless expression as he smiled bitterly. You are only a profound god, but you can defeat a god of heaven? If it wasn't poison, then what was it? No matter how strong you are, it is impossible for you to cross 2 realms to kill a heavenly god, White Death said. She wasn't the only one who thought so. Many people felt the same way when they heard about it. Although many people had witnessed what had happened, after thinking about it carefully, it was simply too impossible. That was because they did not know that Qin Yun possessed 9 divine profound Tao images. Furthermore, the Tao power obtained by his profound god Tao vein was extremely powerful. This was mainly because he had the heavenly Tao divine rune. I am going to the Dragon Palace Hall, Qin Yun said. He wants to see how arrogant those young geniuses of the 9 Sun royal family are. The best way to deal with those arrogant young people was to be more arrogant than them. If they were not convinced, then use your fists to beat them until they were convinced. White Death said, How could you know the way? Let me take you there. Of course Qin Yun knew the way. No one was more familiar with the 9 Yang Divine Palace than him. He suspected that there were many secret rooms in the 9 Yang Divine Palace that even the upper echelons like Bai Si and the others did not know about. Qin Yun also planned to secretly explore the secret chamber of the 9 Yang Divine Palace in the future. There are many secret places in the 9 Yang Divine Palace that only Qin Yun knows about. Furthermore, there are many important things inside. White Death picked up the sword on the table and left 9 Dragon Lake with Qin Yun for the Dragon Palace. There were many doors of various sizes around the hall. Different doors led to different places. At this moment, Qin Yun is following Bai Si towards a dragon head door. The entrance to the door was a huge dragon head with its mouth wide open. There was also a screen of light. After passing through the light screen, he would be able to reach the Dragon Palace. From the outside, the 9 Yang Divine Palace looked like a huge divine palace, but inside, there were many small heavenly passages and small spaces. The Dragon Palace was in a small space. After entering the Dragon Head Gate, they saw a villa situated on a plain. The Dragon Hall was in the middle of the villa. In this small space, one could directly see 2 myriad worlds' divine suns, one big and one small. At night, the myriad heavens' divine moon and countless stars would also appear in the sky. Qin Yun is somewhat surprised because after so many years, the Dragon Palace is still the same, it has not changed much. After entering the villa, a very berserk aura surged over from all directions. The Dragon Palace is a very important organization within the 9 Yang Divine Palace. This place is mainly responsible for training heavenly dragon war god. This is also one of the main battle strength of the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Although it is called the Dragon Palace, not only dragons can be here. Anyone who wants to cultivate dragon arts can come here to cultivate. The main responsibility of the Dragon Palace is to pass down all kinds of cultivation techniques and battle skills of the Dragon Palace to nurture a qualified heavenly dragon war god. Therefore, the disciples of the Dragon Palace fight all day long. When the Dragon Palace elder learned that Qin Yun and White Death had arrived, he promptly rushed over and brought them to a guest hall. Dragon Palace elder, this brat is coming. He said that he wants to help you teach those arrogant youngsters a lesson. White Death said with a smile, Make the arrangements. The Dragon Palace elder chuckled and said, It seems like you are also a very arrogant youngster? You actually want to teach those guys a lesson? Qin Yun said, Bring me there. All right, I'll immediately order people to gather them and wait for you. The Dragon Palace elder's face is filled with smiles. Dragon Palace Elder, you seem to be very happy. White Death said with a smile, why are you in such a good mood? The Dragon Palace Elder chuckled and said, those guys all said that they can beat this Qin Fei up. I want to see if this Qin Fei is really that godly. Looking at his arrogant appearance, maybe he will be beaten until his teeth fall all over the ground. Soon after, the Dragon Palace Elder instructed a middle-aged man to gather the dozens of young geniuses. Really? Do they really think they can beat me up? Qin Yun's face is also filled with a happy smile. If that's really the case, then that's really great. Why do you think it's good? The Dragon Palace Elder is somewhat doubtful. It's rare to meet an opponent, isn't it good? You don't know how lonely it is to be invincible, Qin Yun said with a faint smile. Ha ha! You are indeed a little different from the masses. Your arrogant way is very different, the Dragon Palace Elder said with a smile. When you are beaten to tears later, you will know that loneliness is also good. White Death sighed. You guys, all of you are so self-righteous. You really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Not long later, a middle-aged man came in and said, Elder, I've already arranged it. Let them wait in the Hidden Dragon Arena. Hearing the words, Hidden Dragon Arena, Qin Yun immediately recalled the matter of this arena. This was a very special arena and it was also built by him. The Hidden Dragon Arena was an arena dug out from the ground and was very wide. To enter the Hidden Dragon Arena, one did not directly jump down. One needed to slowly walk down the stairs. Although it was only 100 meters deep, if one jumped down from above, they would be slammed into the ground by a very strong force. If it was serious, they would be smashed to pieces. The reason why there was such a barrier was mainly to restrict people from jumping and flying in the arena. This way, they would be greatly restricted when dodging and could only fight head-on. Also, in the Hidden Dragon Arena, there would be many times the weight on one's body. Fighting in this way would be able to unearth one's potential. And the most impressive thing about the Hidden Dragon Arena was the temperature below. The temperature of the Hidden Dragon Arena was very high. Most of the people who went down to fight had to wear a set of heat-resistant clothes. During the battle, once their clothes were torn and they could not withstand the temperature, they could only admit defeat. Otherwise, it would be very uncomfortable. And the side that admitted defeat was also very special. They had to climb up the stairs. It could be said to be incomparably humiliating. Dragon Palace Elder, why is there a need to do it in the Hidden Dragon Arena? White Death suddenly felt a little worried for Qin Yun because Qin Yun had said that he would take revenge for her. It made her feel very touched, and she had a good impression of Qin Yun. Don't worry, that place is nothing to those fellows from the Nine Sons royal family. The Dragon Palace Elder smiled and said, since this expert said that he wants to teach those fellows a lesson, then the Hidden Dragon Arena is the best place. The Dragon Palace Elder stood up and walked out of the small building, bringing Qin Yun and White Death out. On the way, White Death kept telling Qin Yun about the Hidden Dragon Arena. Qin Yun already knew about it but pretended to listen attentively. In the Hidden Dragon Arena, there were dozens of youths wearing golden armor. Their armors were all heat-resistant. These youths all had cold and arrogant expressions on their faces. I heard that there's a guy who wants to teach us a lesson. It's that Qin Fei. Someone said. Qin Fei? He's finally here. He recovered his 9 sons' royal family bloodline, and with the poison in his hands, he was able to defeat the fellow from the primal chaos race. And we have also recovered our bloodlines, so he is definitely not our match. He comes from the lower realms and is not considered an orthodox descendant of the imperial clan. He only has a very thin bloodline of the imperial clan in his body. The 9 sons' royal family bloodline that he recovers is definitely not as strong as ours. This fellow thinks that he can defeat the royal grandson of the primal chaos race and is so arrogant. He even said that he wants to teach us a lesson? That old fellow, the Dragon Palace Elder, can't deal with us, so he invited that fellow to show us his might? These youths had all recovered their 9 sons' royal family bloodline, and mainly came from the 9 clans. There were even dragons and dragonmen from the Imperial Dragon clan. There were also disciples of the Qin family, but none of them were descendants of the Medicine King Qin. They were all descendants of the other kings, but when they found out that the person who had come was from the Qin family, they restrained themselves a lot. They still admired Qin Fei. After all, he was someone who had helped the Qin family save face. As for the disciples of the other clans, they did not have such a sense of identity. They all felt that if they had recovered their bloodlines back then, they would definitely have been able to defeat the primal chaos race. They stood in the hidden dragon arena and looked at the edge of the arena that was dozens of meters tall. There were a few people standing there. "The White Commander is here too," someone said in shock. "Was that Qin Fei brought by the White Commander? This White Commander is so prejudiced against us? He brought this fellow to teach us a lesson? Maybe it was the old man from the Dragon Palace who called him over." The dozens of young geniuses below all saw Qin Yun. Qin Yun looked down from above and indifferently swept his gaze across the young geniuses. They were all great gods. After recovering their bloodlines, their strength was comparable to a heavenly god. "Qin Fei, didn't you want to teach them a lesson?" the Dragon Palace elder said with a smile. "Seeing their aura, are you afraid?" The Dragon Palace elder purposely spoke very loudly, mainly to arouse the aura of the dozens of geniuses. As expected, the dozens of young geniuses below immediately shouted in unison, releasing a burst of strong aura. A gust of wind rushed up along with their aura. Chapter 2171. The Dragon Palace elder liked to watch these arrogant young people argue with each other. This was also a way to train young people. In order to draw more hatred for Qin Yun, the Dragon Palace elder said again, "Little fellows below, you guys put on airs in front of me all day, but who do you think you are? This expert Qin Fei is a true genius. He can beat dozens of you by himself. Qin Fei, hurry up and come down." A young man suddenly shouted, "I can defeat you with a single finger." The Dragon Palace elder laughed and said, "You only know how to brag. Look at Qin Fei, he has the demeanor of an expert, but what about you? Both of them are like the arrogant hooligans on the streets." "Oh right, this is what Qin Fei said, not me." The youths below looked at Qin Yun with blade-like gazes. A few of them wanted to fly up, but because of the Hidden Dragon Arena's pressure realm, they couldn't fly no matter how much strength they used. Qin Yun really didn't expect this Dragon Palace elder to be so mischievous. "Qin Fei, cut the crap. Hurry up and put on the Hidden Dragon battle armor and come down to fight. Don't worry, we won't bully you, we won't gang up on you, and we guarantee that we won't beat you to death." A tall young man exuded a powerful dragon aura. It was obvious that he was a dragon in human form. A middle-aged man took out a set of Hidden Dragon battle armor and handed it to Qin Yun. Qin Yun took the Hidden Dragon battle armor and threw it with great force. Boom! The Hidden Dragon battle armor landed on the arena. When it landed, it was hit by the pressure barrier and smashed into the arena with great force, shattering it. What are you doing? Do you want to smash us to death like this?" A young man below shouted. "Qin Fei, hurry up and come down." The Dragon Palace elder cursed in a low voice. "The Hidden Dragon battle armor is very expensive, 100 million. Qin Yun took out a crystal card and handed it to White Death. "White Commander, this is 100 million crystal card. Consider it compensation for the battle armor." White Death was stunned and took the crystal card. The Dragon Palace elder cursed in his heart. He should be the one to accept it. Just as the young geniuses below were shouting, Qin Yun suddenly took off his clothes. Everyone was stunned when they saw him take off his clothes. "Hidden Dragon battle armor? I don't need this kind of plaything, only you delicate little flower seedlings need it." Qin Yun faintly smiled. He wasn't even using his hidden dragon battle armor. Everyone present was extremely shocked. Qin Yun took a few steps forward and stood at the edge of the arena. He actually wanted to jump down. Qin Fei. Don't mess around. You'll die if you fall down. The Dragon Palace elder hurriedly shouted. Qin Fei, wait. White Death also shouted. Qin Yun had already leaped out. Everyone present held their breath as they watched. Even something as sturdy as the hidden dragon battle armor had been pulverized by the force of the impact, and if a person were to fall into it, they would also be crushed to death. Also, it was very hot below the hidden dragon arena. Even celestial gods with very strong bodies would be roasted very quickly if they fell in. Even the arrogant young prodigies down below didn't dare to take off their suits of battle armor. Not only was he not wearing his hidden dragon battle armor, but he was also bare-chested. Furthermore, he didn't even use the stairs. While falling down, Qin Yun used Heavenly Firmament Tao Art and Heavenly Might Tyrant Body. Boom! In the instant that everyone was shocked, Qin Yun crashed onto the ground, causing the entire hidden dragon arena to tremble violently. Qin Yun stood upright in the hidden dragon arena. His upper body was roasted red, and his strong muscles appeared even more powerful. The heavenly might on his body made it hard for the young people to breathe. Everyone was shocked, fearful, and filled with disbelief, especially the Dragon Palace Elder and White Death, who knew the hidden dragon arena very well as the people who often protected the hidden dragon arena. When they saw that Qin Yun was completely fine, it was as if they had seen a ghost. Even the dozens of young prodigies knew how dangerous it was for Qin Yun to come down just now. It was extremely fatal. Although they were arrogant, they didn't dare to play like this. Qin Yun swept his gaze across the group of young prodigies indifferently and said, "All of you, come at me together." The aura of the group of young prodigies was dispersed the moment Qin Yun landed. Furthermore, they couldn't gather the power in their bodies at all. This was because they were extremely fearful. That fear caused them to be unable to gather their strength. They knew very well that they would definitely be beaten to their knees if they faced such a person. "Why? Didn't you say that you could defeat me with a single finger?" Qin Yun sneered. "Now that I'm asking all of you to come at me together, why don't you dare?" The Dragon Palace Elder and White Death looked at each other. They really didn't expect Qin Yun to be so powerful. At that moment, the young prodigies below also realized that Qin Yun didn't have the 9-yang divine scar on his glabella. The 9-yang divine scar was a characteristic of recovering one's bloodline. Qin Yun didn't have such an item. Could it be that his bloodline hadn't recovered? The group of young prodigies were all frightened by Qin Yun. They had always suspected that Qin Yun had used poison or something. However, no matter how powerful the poison was, it was impossible to avoid the various barrier powers of the hidden dragon arena. But Qin Yun could endure it. Be it not using the hidden dragon battle armor or jumping down directly, the young prodigies present couldn't do it, nor did they dare to do it, because it would be very painful. "Do you know the true meaning of the hidden dragon arena?" Qin Yun asked. "Please enlighten us, Big Brother Qin." The person who spoke was a disciple of the Qin imperial clan. He was even more impressed by Qin Yun and said very respectfully, "Only by cultivating to greater mastery in the hidden dragon arena can you transform into a dragon and fly." Qin Yun said, "You have to fly out from here." Fly out. Everyone was in an uproar, and their faces were filled with fear. Not to mention flying out, even jumping up was difficult. This is an abyss where dragons are trapped. Only those who can fly out from here are true dragons. Qin Yun said coldly, "And being able to cultivate here means that you have the potential to become a true dragon. If you don't take it seriously and don't listen to the Elder's arrangements, then get lost from the hidden dragon arena. You will forever lose the qualifications to become a true dragon." After saying that, Qin Yun leaped with great force and erupted with an incomparably powerful force. The entire Hidden Dragon Arena's barrier released its power crazily at this moment, wanting to prevent Qin Yun from flying out. However, Qin Yun's terrifying power continued to batter the barrier. The barrier spewed out waves of energy like the roar of a berserk dragon. Roar. Following a deafening dragon roar, Qin Yun broke through the barrier and jumped onto it. Then, he picked up his clothes and slowly put them on. This scene once again caused everyone present to be dumbstruck. He was fine when he jumped down. It could be said that he had used his powerful body and the power in his body to resist. However, it was even more difficult to jump back up. What shocked Bai Si and the Dragon Hall Elder the most was that jumping down and up was the standard for the Sky Dragon War Immortal test. Of course, the Sky Dragon War Immortal had to wear the Hidden Dragon battle armor during the test, but Qin Yun didn't. It had been many years since a Sky Dragon War Immortal had appeared in the Dragon Hall. However, Qin Yun had passed the test in an instant. Bai Si had explained the significance of the Hidden Dragon Arena to Qin Yun in detail on the way here, so Qin Yun already knew about it. However, he understood the significance of the Hidden Dragon Arena's existence even more. After all, he had arranged for its construction back then. It had indeed nurtured many powerful Sky Dragon War Immortals, forming the main combat strength of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun sighed inwardly because he could tell that it had been many years since a Sky Dragon War Immortal had appeared in the Dragon Hall. Even the Dragon Hall Elder wasn't a Sky Dragon War Immortal. Therefore, the Dragon Hall Elder felt very ashamed at this moment because he was inferior to this young man. "White Commander, where is my residence?" Qin Yun asked. "This." Bai Si was startled. She was also thinking about where to arrange for Qin Yun to stay. "Go to the Sky Palace." The Dragon Hall Elder let out a long sigh. "The Sky Palace is still empty." Qin Yun frowned. The Sky Palace was actually empty. The Sky Palace was the highest existence among the 9 palaces of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. The Sky Palace had been empty for many years, which meant that the upper echelons of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace knew their limits and did not stay in the Sky Palace. "Dragon Hall Elder, is the Sky Palace really okay?" Bai Si said in a low voice. "That's but the residence of the Palace King. He is the only Sky Dragon War Immortal in our Nine-Yang Divine Palace. No one will object to him living in the Sky Palace," the Dragon Hall Elder said. His attitude towards Qin Yun had also changed greatly. "But the Sword Hall Elder might not be willing," Bai Si said. "I'm in charge of the Sky Palace's entrance. If I say it's fine, then it's fine. As for the Sword Hall, don't worry about them." The Dragon Hall Elder waved his hand and said, "Bring him to the Sky Palace. We'll talk about it after he stays there." Back then, the Sky Palace was indeed the residence of the Palace King. Furthermore, to the other halls, it was a supreme and sacred existence. For many years, the seniors of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace had been very conscious and did not enter that place. Alright. Actually, Bai Si did not object to Qin Yun staying in the Sky Palace. At this moment, the group of youths in the Hidden Dragon Arena did not dare to be arrogant because they had witnessed the gap between them and Qin Yun. What they could not understand was why Qin Yun, who was only a profound god, was so much stronger than them. It made them feel that the Nine-Yang bloodline they had recovered was a fake bloodline. Qin Yun followed Bai Si out of the Dragon Hall and headed for the Sky Palace. The entrance to the Sky Palace was rather special. The entrances to the other 8 halls were all on the walls around the enormous palace in the middle. As for the entrance to the Sky Palace, it was in the air above the palace. The top of the palace was emitting a white light. The people who had just entered all thought that it was a glowing stone or something. But it was actually an entrance. "White Manager, which hall are you from?" Qin Yun asked. "I'm an elder of the Beast Hall, but I'm also a general manager. It's mainly because those old fellows are rather lazy, so they let me take care of some trivial matters," Bai Si said. Bai Si looked at the entrance above and said softly, "The Dragon Hall Elder deliberately allowed you to enter the Sky Palace to arouse the dissatisfaction of the Sword Hall and then cause trouble for you. This Dragon Hall Elder wants to see if you can deal with the Sword Hall." Chapter 2172. Qin Yun is not afraid of the Sword Hall. Entering the Heavenly Palace is very important to him. Many of the 9 Yang Divine Palace's secrets are hidden inside the Heavenly Palace. Only Qin Yun knows about the various secret chambers and mechanisms. "Qin Fei, you can enter the Heavenly Palace. Just jump up." Bai Si said, "I won't go in. If there's nothing, we won't go in." "Why?" Qin Yun is somewhat puzzled. "Can't you just casually enter?" Bai Si said, "Yes, we can't casually enter. To the elders of the other palaces, entering the Heavenly Palace without permission means that an elder wants to monopolize the 9 Yang Divine Palace and will be jointly targeted by the other elders." "So that's how it is." Qin Yun nodded. This elder of the 9 Yang Divine Palace really knows how to restrain himself. Qin Yun jumped up and charged towards the circular light screen in the middle of the palace. After entering, he arrived at the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace is a white space. It is different from the other palaces. There is no scenery or purple lightning here. It is a vast expanse of whiteness all around. And in the middle, there is a 9-story jade building that seems to be made of white jade floating in the air. The jade building is very large, it is square in shape and each floor is more than 10 meters tall. The jade building's door is tightly shut. It looks like it has not been opened for many years. Looks like none of them have entered this Heavenly Palace. Qin Yun flew over and arrived in front of the door to take a look. There are no barriers or seals that can be easily opened. However, for many years, no one has ever stepped in. The upper echelons of the 9 Yang Divine Palace all know that entering the Heavenly Palace without permission is taboo, so no one dared to enter. Qin Yun entered the first floor of the Heavenly Palace. There are many books placed here, there are many large and small bookshelves. Some of the books are very large and are placed on the ground like a table. Nothing has been touched. Qin Yun remembers that his Heavenly Palace has all kinds of ancient books. There are many things recorded inside, mainly about runes and cultivation technique. Many of the runes and cultivation techniques recorded are useless. Useful runes will be passed down. The runes recorded in these books are merely notes made by the 9 Yang Palace King when he was researching runes. Most of them are manuscripts and the like. He remembered that he had once arranged for many disciples of the Hall of Runes to be in charge of organizing these notes and recording down all the useful ones. This process had taken a total of over 1,000 years. The most important thing about the Heavenly Palace are the various passages that lead to some secret rooms. I wonder if the things inside the secret rooms are still there. Qin Yun strolled around the first floor and arrived in front of a picture. The painting was huge and took up a large part of the wall. This painting was a landscape painting. Walking in front of the painting and looking at it carefully, one would feel as if they were immersed in the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers. If one looked carefully, they would see that the landscape painting was made of mysterious runes. Qin Yun pressed his hand on the landscape painting and with a thought, the landscape painting began to fluctuate. It's still the same, it consumes a lot of mental power. Qin Yun smiled and stepped into the painting. After entering, he came to a place with beautiful mountains and rivers, just like the scenery in the painting. This is a space within a painting. Back then, Qin Yun used spatial runes and a large amount of spatial materials to construct it. There was more than one such painting in the Sky Palace. Only he knew that there was a universe within the painting. Qin Yun came out of the painting and sighed inwardly. The things he made back then were actually preserved so well. Why is it like this? Logically speaking, after so many years, these things should have decayed. Qin Yun looked at everything here and felt that it was inconceivable. Just as Qin Yun was feeling very puzzled, he suddenly felt something behind him. After he turned around, he saw a petite woman wearing a snow-white dress, smiling sweetly at him. This petite and exquisite woman is Bai Si. However, it is somewhat different from Bai Si. Bai Si has a faint majesty. Although she looks petite and exquisite, she has a kind of might that makes people revere her and consciously maintain a distance from her. And the woman in front of him has the same appearance as Bai Si, but she is very gentle and sweet. It can be said that she does not have the slightest bit of majesty. She is just like a little girl next door. "Who are you?" Qin Yun said with a frown. "You are not Manager Bai. Big Brother Palace King, don't you remember me?" The white dress woman pouted. Her big eyes are filled with hidden bitterness. "You are Little Palace Spirit?" Qin Yun is suddenly shocked and shouted, Didn't your soul scatter? And you even cultivated a physical body?" Qin Yun is surprised and also very happy. He said with a smile, "Little Palace Spirit, so everything here is protected by you. Big Brother Palace King." Little Palace Spirit saw that Qin Yun recognized her and immediately threw herself at Qin Yun. Qin Yun hugged this petite and lovely woman and gently caressed her head. At this moment, he also felt the little palace spirit sobbing softly in his arms. "Big Brother Palace King, it is really great to see you again. I thought I would never see you again." Little Palace Spirit's teary eyes are filled with joy as she looked at Qin Yun. Qin Yun's eyes are also a bit moist, he said with a smile. "I am also very happy to see you. When your soul scattered, I was really sad and also very guilty. It was because I was not strong enough that you were destroyed." "That's right, how did you come back to life?" The little palace spirit wiped away her tears and said with a smile, "This is all because Big Brother Palace King spent many years guiding me and cultivating my soul, allowing me to grasp many arcane arts. That is why even if my soul is torn apart, I can still reform it. My soul was shattered into many parts and drifted in the starry sky. Later on, after many years, it finally reformed. Then I returned to this Nine-Yang Divine Palace and found out that Big Brother Palace King is no longer here." "Then what happened to Bai Yi?" Qin Yun asked. "Her soul was cursed. I was the one who helped her recover. Furthermore, I used her blood to build my body. That's why I look exactly like her." The little palace spirit laughed. "Then does she know of your existence? Do the other elders know?" Qin Yun asked. "They all know of my existence, but they have never seen me." Little Palace Spirit sighed and said, "It's been many years, I finally see Big Brother Palace King again." "That's right, what about Big Sister Yu Ro and the others?" "Nine Sun Divine Maiden is fine," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Divine Moon of the Heavens is also their home." "That's great." Little Palace Spirit charmingly smiled. "When I have the chance in the future, I want to get to know them." This little palace spirit is a spirit body created by Qin Yun through the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Later on, it became very powerful. However, after the Nine-Yang Divine Palace was attacked, the little palace spirit's soul also scattered. "Little Palace Spirit, do you know how White Tiger died?" Qin Yun asked. Yes. Little Palace Spirit did not say it, she only mumbled and looked very conflicted. "Did he not allow you to say it?" Qin Yun asked. Little Palace Spirit puffed up her face and nodded. She said with frown, "Big Brother Palace King, don't make things difficult for me. I promised him that I would not tell anyone. I want to avenge him." Qin Yun said solemnly, "If you don't tell me, how can I avenge him?" "Big Brother Palace King, I know you will definitely avenge Uncle White Tiger, but those people are too strong. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace only dared to return to the Divine Desolate Land after obtaining the protection of the powerful Divine Sun after the appearance of the Myriad Realms' Divine Sun." Little Palace Spirit said. "Then how will you tell me?" Qin Yun let out a long sigh. "When you become strong enough, I'll tell you." Little Palace Spirit said. The 9 Yang Divine Palace has been bullied for many years. They have been drifting in the outer heaven realm for many years and are in a sorry state. Moreover, they all know that there are many good things inside this divine palace and want to snatch them. Qin Yun coldly snorted. From today onwards, whoever dares to snatch this divine palace will die a horrible death. Big Brother Palace King, the 9 Yang Divine Palace is currently facing a great threat, because this divine palace is very special. Although it was built by you, it has undergone a great change. Little Palace Spirit said. Were they bullied after obtaining the protection of the 9 suns? Qin Yun asked. Every once in a while, the 9 suns have to undergo nirvana, so the divine palace has no choice but to hide. Little Palace Spirit said. My mission is to protect the 9 Yang Divine Palace and wait for Big Brother Palace King to return. Qin Yun patted her head and said with a doting smile, Little Palace Spirit, it's been hard on you all these years. It's not hard at all, as long as I can still see Big Brother Palace King. Little Palace Spirit hugged Qin Yun's arm. The two of them sat at the same table. Why did the 9 Yang Divine Palace obtain the protection of the 9 suns? Qin Yun asked. Moreover, what kind of good thing is it that so many powerful fellows are eyeing it? Little Palace Spirit shook her head and said, I don't know either. I only know that I can communicate with the 9 suns from time to time and receive messages. When the 9 suns tell me to leave, I control the 9 Yang Divine Palace and leave. This time, it was also Myriad Realms' Divine Sun that told me to come back and help the Imperial race restore the 9 Sun Royal race bloodline. The 9 Yang Divine Palace is recruiting disciples. Is this also the intention of Myriad Realms' Divine Sun? Qin Yun asked. Myriad Realms' Divine Sun told me that the 9 Yang Divine Palace will face its greatest crisis in history. We must protect it well and not let it be destroyed. Little Palace Spirit said. During this period of time I have also been under a lot of pressure. Fortunately, Big Brother Palace King has returned. Even Myriad Realms' Divine Sun can't protect the 9 Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun is somewhat astonished. The Myriad Realms' Divine Sun is very powerful. Right now there are only 2 Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. Only when all 9 of them are complete will it be the strongest. However, there will definitely be many mysterious powers that will prevent the Myriad Realms' Divine Sun from cultivating to great success, said the Little Palace Spirit. The 9 suns have always been cultivating and they have also experienced nirvana many times. Now they have finally cultivated Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. However, there are only 2 of them now. The other one is still very small. It will still take a very long time to cultivate 9 huge Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. During this process, there will definitely be many difficulties and they will be obstructed by all kinds of mysterious powers. Suddenly, a burst of noise came from outside. Chapter 2173. The reason why the Dragon Palace Elder allowed Qin Yun to enter the Heavenly Palace is because he acknowledged Qin Yun's status as the Heaven Dragon Martial God. Another reason is to see how Qin Yun would deal with the Sword Hall's people. The Dragon Hall had not had a Sky Dragon Martial Immortal for many years. Now it was hard to find one. Moreover, it was one with unfathomable strength. Therefore, the Dragon Palace Elder is very happy in his heart. He made a prompt decision to let Qin Yun enter the Heavenly Hall. If the Sword Hall came looking for trouble, he would think of a way to push Qin Yun out and compete with them. In this way, if the Sword Hall was defeated, he, the Elder of the Dragon Hall, would be able to hold his head high. How could Qin Yun not know what the Dragon Palace Elder was thinking? Therefore, he decided not to go out and let the Dragon Palace Elder and the Sword Hall Elder quarrel. Big Brother Hall King, they all have 9 Yang Divine marks after recovering the 9 Yang Royal Family's bloodline. I can sense that you have a very strong 9 Yang Royal Family's bloodline in your body, But why don't you have any 9 yang divine marks? Asked the little palace spirit as she looked at Qin Yun's glabella. Qin Yun smiled and said, I'm not too sure, but it won't be a problem. The elder of the Dragon Palace and the elder of the Sword Palace were arguing very loudly. That kind of sound could directly penetrate through. It could be seen that they wanted the entire 9 Yang Divine Palace to know. Qin Yun and the little hall spirit strolled around the Heaven Hall Tower. Have you used up most of the things I left behind? Asked Qin Yun. And, over the years, most of those materials have been used to refine tools. When the 9 Yang Divine Palace was damaged and needed to be repaired, a portion of the materials were also used. Little Palace Spirit replied. She followed behind Qin Yun. Qin Yun looked at the paintings. Each of them was a tiny space. The things he had left behind were placed in the space within the painting. The Heaven Palace Tower has 9 floors. Each floor has more than 10 huge paintings. Qin Yun looked at each floor. He didn't need to enter the paintings to know that the things inside have been taken away. Big Brother Palace King, I'm sorry. I've used up all the things you left behind. The little palace spirit said in a low voice, feeling a little guilty. Qin Yun patted her head and said with smile, It doesn't matter. It was already not easy for the 9 Yang Divine Palace to be able to survive for so many years. Those materials are only used at critical moments. Otherwise, what's the point of keeping them? Actually, those materials were almost used up a long time ago. The little palace spirit said, Fortunately, we were able to find a lot of materials in the outer heaven domain. It was not easy for this 9 Yang Divine Palace to be able to maintain it so well for so many years. Even if he used up those materials, it would be far from enough. Qin Yun knew this very well, so he did not blame the little hall spirit. Qin Yun said with smile, Little palace spirit, thank you for protecting this palace so well. The little palace spirit smiled and said sweetly, Big Brother Palace King, this is what I should do. I knew you would come back. At that moment, Qin Yun and the little hall spirit were on the 9th level. Qin Yun had already seen more than 10 paintings there. All the materials stored in the painting had been taken away. However, there were still some secrets here that even the little hall spirit didn't know about. The 9th floor was also filled with books, piled up everywhere. Qin Yun released his powerful mental power and controlled the books to float up, piling them up to the side. The hall in the middle of the 9th floor of the Heaven Hall was instantly emptied. Big Brother Palace King, what are you going to do? The little hall spirit asked curiously. There is something hidden here. Qin Yun pointed to the thick carpet and said with a smile. Ah? Is this also a painting? The little hall spirit said in surprise. Qin Yun pulled the little hall spirit and stood on the carpet, then he injected powerful blood soul power into it. No, this is a bounded domain. It's an entrance, Qin Yun said. After he opened the bounded domain, the carpet began to float as if it had turned into liquid. Qin Yun and the little hall spirit's body gradually sank into it. To the little hall spirit's surprise, it was not a space below, but like water. After diving, Qin Yun released a stream of mental power to wrap him and the little hall spirit, then he walked in the water. Big Brother Palace King, there is such a place in the 9 Yang Divine Palace? Why didn't I know about it? The little hall spirit looked around and said in surprise, What is this place? At this moment, they seemed to be at the bottom of a beautiful sea, surrounded by all kinds of sparkling things. This is the infinite star sea realm, in the middle of that carpet. This seawater is a liquid formed from a very special energy. Those things that are shining are all small stars. Qin Yun said. Those small stars were really small. The biggest one was only as tall as a person and the smallest one was like a fruit. The little hall spirit just passed by a small star that was a little taller than her. That small star was very beautiful, red like a gem, shining with bright red light. What is this infinite star sea realm? Why didn't I find this place? The little hall spirit became more curious. Because she was the hall spirit of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace, she knew the Nine-Yang Divine Palace very well. This is not a part of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. The stars here were all found in the starry sky when I traveled through the heavens. I collected all the beautiful ones. Qin Yun continued to move forward with the little hall spirit. The little hall spirit looked at the beautiful small stars and praised again and again. Qin Yun seemed to be looking for something here. Big Brother Palace King, what are you looking for? The little hall spirit asked. Back then, I encountered a very special star. That star is very special, very heavy, but it is not the nether sun. Qin Yun said. I only remembered it when I came here. Nether sun, moon and myriad realms divine sun are all stars, but they are very special. The nether sun is also relatively small but very heavy. It is also completely black and has a very strong devouring power. It is not the nether sun but a very heavy star? Is it big? The young palace spirit also looked around, wanting to help Qin Yun find the star. Not big, not as big as you. Qin Yun said, it took me many years to refine this infinite star sea realm. The main purpose was to collect those stars. Back then, it was very difficult to store that star. I made many improvements to the infinite star sea realm before I could store it. There are many threads floating in the water of the infinite star sea realm. They are all runes that conceal the stars here. Suddenly, a relatively strong purple-red light shone over from the front. Found it. After Qin Yun saw the purple-red light, he said in shock. Back then it was golden, how did it turn purple now? The little hall spirit shouted in shock. It is indeed a very special star. What kind of power is this? It is very strong. After approaching, Qin Yun and the little hall spirit were enveloped in the purple-red light. Is this the divine universe amethyst? Ling Yun'er said in surprise. The star is like a purple-red transparent crystal ball. It is not even as tall as the little hall spirit and it is floating in the water. This kind of power is indeed a bit like the divine universe amethyst, but it is also not. After so many years, the energy inside this star has not been exhausted, instead it has evolved. What Qin Yun finds most inconceivable is that this purple-red star is also affecting all the stars inside. The seawater of the infinite star sea realm has become very strong after being released by the purple-red star. It can bear the weight of these heavy stars. Qin Yun reached out his hand and touched the purple-red star. The purple-red star suddenly began to spin. The surrounding seawater and the small stars in the seawater began to spin and rushed into the purple-red star. Qin Yun is startled. He is somewhat worried that he will be sucked in. Fortunately, he and the little hall spirit did not feel the devouring power. However, the surrounding seawater and the large and small stars all followed the spinning and entered the purple-red star. Big Brother Palace King, what's going on? The little hall spirit saw those beautiful little stars distort along with the seawater and are swallowed by the purple-red star. She felt that it is a pity. Qin Yun held the little hall spirit's hand and said with a smile, Don't worry, this star should be a mother star. What kind of star is this? How can it be so powerful? The little hall spirit is very puzzled. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace has also traveled the starry sky before, so she has a good understanding of all kinds of stars. If I am not wrong, this should be the divine universe purple sun. Qin Yun said. It is a very small one, it has just formed. A divine universe purple sun? The little hall spirit said in surprise. And it should be. Qin Yun looked at the divine universe purple sun and said with a smile. Back then, I already felt that this thing was not simple. I didn't expect it to actually grow into a divine universe purple Sunday. Divine universe power is a very mysterious power that can be found throughout the endless universe. The divine power flowing in the universe is called divine universe power. Whether it is the myriad realms divine sun or the myriad heavens divine moon, or the divine power released by all kinds of stars, they all come from the mysterious divine universe power. The formation of the 9 suns is related to the divine universe golden stone. However, after the 9 suns grow, they can cultivate even more powerful divine power. That kind of divine power is also more suitable for living beings to absorb. One must know that the divine universe power is very berserk. Directly absorbing it into the body would be unbearable, unless there is a special great formation to transform it. And the 9 suns can be considered a huge 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation, so it can transform the divine universe power into divine power that is more suitable for living beings to absorb. Not to mention the divine universe power inside the divine universe golden stone, even the divine power of the sun god crystal is very wild. Without a strong enough body, one would not dare to directly absorb the power of the sun god crystal. The conditions for the formation of the divine universe purple sun are very harsh. Qin Yun also doesn't know why it formed here. He suddenly felt that why the myriad realms divine sun would pay so much attention to the 9 yang divine palace. Maybe the myriad realms divine sun could sense that there is a divine universe purple sun here. The myriad realms divine sun said that the 9 yang divine palace will face a great crisis. Could it be because of this divine universe purple sun? The little hall spirit asked. And it might be, Qin Yun said. Not to mention a divine universe purple sun, even a small piece of divine universe purple crystal would cause a reign of terror. Chapter 2174. Qin Yun also had divine universe amethyst in his hands, and it was a relatively large piece, which came from the heavenly law divine realm. The natural law divine realm had a lot of divine universe golden stones and divine universe amethyst, which were mainly plundered by the heavenly Tao from those heavenly realms back then. It was unknown how many divine universe amethyst and divine universe golden stone the natural law divine realm still had in his hands. Qin Yun understood from the imperial sound Heavenly Mother that the natural law divine realm did not have a lot of resources on hand. It was not as extravagant as before. This was especially true for divine universe weapons, which would gradually become rarer. Those divine universe weapons were all one-time use items. In the past, the heavenly Tao had used divine universe gold stones or divine universe amethysts to create them. Once the energy within a divine universe weapon was exhausted, it would become useless. Big Brother Palace King, how are we going to use this divine universe purple sun? Little Palace Spirit looked at the beautiful divine universe purple sun, her beautiful eyes flickered and said, "This is different from the divine universe golden stones I saw before. The energy released by those divine universe golden stones is very crazy." The energy released by the divine cosmos purple sun was extremely gentle. However, it didn't take long for the divine universe purple sun to devour the surrounding stars. Were those little stars eaten by the divine universe purple sun? The little palace spirit felt that it was a pity. No, those little stars should be one with her. If not for all these years, those little stars have been nurtured by the divine universe purple sun's energy, they would have already disappeared. Qin Yun said. Then why did she take away all the little stars when she saw us? The little temple spirit looked around. The realm of the infinite star sea became empty. There was no water or dazzling little stars. Only the divine universe purple sun in front of him was releasing dazzling purple light. Qin Yun said, "Maybe Xin Yu Ziyang knows that she wants to move." He smiled, then placed his hand on the divine universe purple sun and touched it. He only felt warmth. With a thought, the divine universe purple sun entered the first pearl of the 9 sun divine soul. The first pearl of the 9 sun divine soul is a very big small world. After the divine universe purple sun entered, many small stars that were sucked in by it suddenly appeared above the 9 sun divine soul's first pearl. The interior of the 9 Sun Divine Soul's first pearl is filled with stars. Furthermore, they are all very beautiful little stars. This immediately made Yang Yang, Mo, little Jade Rabbit, and the little ant queen cheer. Especially the little queen ant, she no longer needed to eat divine universe golden stones in the future. She could directly absorb the divine universe purple sun's power and release a very strong spatial energy. Qin Yun also let the little palace spirit enter the first pearl of the 9 Sun Divine Soul to let her meet those cute little things. What made Qin Yun somewhat surprised is that this little girl Yang Yang can actually enter the divine universe purple sun's interior. Moreover, after entering, she did not come out. He also doesn't know what she is doing inside. Mo only said that Sister Yang Yang found a good place to sleep. Originally, Qin Yun planned to refine Primal Chaos Divine Sun inside the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. But now, in the first pearl of the 9 Sun Divine Soul, there was a Divine Universe Purple Sun, which was even rarer than the Primal Chaos Divine Sunday. Xiao Yun, Xin Yu Ziyang wants a sun seed. Ling Yun suddenly shouted. Qin Yun indeed has the sun seed, but he does not know what Divine Universe Purple Sun wants to do here. Why does Divine Universe Purple Sun need a yang seed? Qin Yun immediately asked. Ling Yun is a spirit body, she can communicate with Divine Universe Purple Sunday. I don't know. She sensed the sun seed and said that she needs it. Qin Yun can only put the sun seed into the first pearl from another pearl of the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. The Divine Universe Purple Sun of the first pearl quickly absorbed the sun seed. Yun help me ask if she can be sensed by others. Qin Yun said, if it's like Divine Universe Golden Stone, it's very easy for others to sense it, then I'll be in great danger. After a while, Ling Yun said, she said don't worry, nothing will happen. Qin Yun felt that this kind of explanation is very perfunctory, but he has no other choice. With something like the Divine Universe Purple Sun, it is normal to bear a great risk. Just like back then, he obtained a very large Divine Universe Golden Stone and was chased everywhere. He is already used to this kind of thing. Qin Yun and the little palace spirit left the myriad star sea realm and arrived outside. Not long ago, Qin Yun's 9 Sun Divine Spirit awakened the ability, Sun Heavenly Shield. He felt that if it was used with the Divine Universe Purple Sun, the Sun Heavenly Shield would definitely be even more powerful. No matter what, it would allow him to have a strong enough defense and also have a strong energy supply. His plan was to refine the Primal Chaos Divine Sun, but now, he has a very powerful Divine Universe Purple Sunday. This made him suddenly look down on the Primal Chaos Divine Sun. Back then, when he was still the king of the 9 Sun Palace, he began to plan this matter. Until now, he still hasn't been able to refine the Primal Chaos Divine Sunday. Qin Yun now has a certain understanding of the Primal Chaos Divine Sun, but the plan can't keep up with the changes, and it's a very good change. If I can cultivate 9 Divine Universe Purple Suns, wouldn't I be even stronger? Qin Yun suddenly felt excited in his heart. With 1 Divine Universe Purple Sun, he might be able to cultivate a second one. Not good, someone has come to the 9 Yang Divine Palace to cause trouble. After the little palace spirit came out, he closed his eyes and saw the palace of the 9 Yang Divine Palace. That spacious palace can also be used for fighting. As for Qin Yun, he was looking at a painting. The painting fluctuated as the scene inside the hall appeared. By sea, the Dragon Palace Elder and a tall, thin and long-bearded middle-aged man holding a sharp sword, they are all standing together. A group of middle-aged and young people are standing behind them. It is as if they are going to welcome a strong enemy. That long-bearded middle-aged man is the Sword Hall Elder. The little palace spirit said. He is standing together with the Dragon Palace Elder. That means they have temporarily put aside their dispute. Normally, they will only unite when they are fighting against a common enemy. The Dragon Palace Elder said, Sword Hall Elder, the reason why Qin Fei is not coming out is not because he is afraid of you but because he is currently injured. The Sword Hall Elder said with sneer. Don't say any more. The people from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain are about to arrive. At that time, only our Sword Hall's heavenly sword god will fight. Your heavenly dragon war god will not fight and instead hide in the heavenly palace. This is not justifiable. It's really inconvenient for him right now. Why don't we go to the heavenly palace to find him? The Dragon Palace Elder is also somewhat anxious. He also hopes that Qin Yun will come out. No need, we can't enter the heavenly palace right now. He will come out sooner or later. As for whether or not he has the qualifications to stay in the heavenly palace, I will test him. The Sword Hall Elder said. Sword Hall Elder, when did you agree to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Why didn't you discuss this matter with us? Bai Si said. It's the Sword Sun Divine Mountain who repeatedly challenged our Sword Hall. Naturally, we had to accept the challenge. Moreover, after we win, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain promised to give us their divine crystal mining area. The Sword Hall Elder said. And if we lose? The Dragon Palace Elder said in low voice. Then I will give my heavenly sword to them. After the Sword Hall Elder finished speaking, he said again. Don't worry, you won't lose your things. Qin Yun frowned. The Sword Hall Elder's heavenly sword is very precious. The origin sword cultivated by a sword cultivator, when it reaches an extremely high realm, is the heavenly sword. It can be said that a sword cultivator exhausted his entire life and used endless blood, sweat and tears to cultivate this sword. Let's not talk about how powerful it is. Just the process of forming the heavenly sword has an extremely high value as a collection. And the Sword Sun Divine Mountain is one of the 8-9 sun sects. They mainly use the sword. Bai Si, the Dragon Palace Elder, as well as dozens of elders and hundreds of youngsters present, are all looking at the Sword Hall Elder in astonishment. Because this is truly too astonishing. The Sword Hall Elder actually took out his heavenly sword to gamble. As long as the sword exists, the person exists. If the heavenly sword were to be lost, then the Sword Hall Elder would most likely commit suicide. Truly reckless. Qin Yun said with a frown. Big Brother Palace King, do you want to go out and stop them? The little palace spirit said. No. I will first see how the Sword Hall Elder will deal with it. If they win, then I won't appear. If they lose, then I will make a move to reverse the situation. Qin Yun looked at the painting on the wall and said. Not long after, the people from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain arrived at the 9 Yang Divine Palace's palace. In the middle of the palace, an array pillar has already been erected. They will compete in sword techniques here. When facing external enemies, the 9 Yang Divine Palace is still very united. At least they won't show any signs of mutual displeasure. 9 Yang Divine Palace, back then you left the Divine Desolate like stray dogs. Now you have finally returned. Do you think that by helping the 9 Sun royal family recover their bloodline, you can enslave them? A gray-clothed old man from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain mocked loudly. Qin Yun looked at the old man and felt infuriated. The gray-clothed old man's name is Xiang Junjian. He is the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's sect master. Back then, he plotted against Qin Yun. Qin Yun was once the sect master of a 9 sun sect. Later on, he was besieged by 8 other 9 sun sects. This Xiang Junjian also caused great damage to Qin Yun back then. Xiang Junjian is a sacred god. Qin Yun did not personally investigate his cultivation, so he doesn't know if he can defeat him. He took out the 9 Desolate Divine Saber and placed it into the first pearl of the 9 Sun Divine Spirit to let the Divine Universe Purple Sun help repair it. Last time he used the 9 Desolate Divine Saber, it broke a bit. The 9 Desolate Divine Saber absorbed the Divine Universe's power and quickly recovered. If it was inside the Divine Universe Purple Sun, it would definitely recover very quickly. Then, he changed into the heaven-trampling god boot. The heaven-trampling god boots are formed from Sun Soul. After wearing it, it can increase a lot of divine power. Big Brother Palace King, are you going to fight? The little palace spirit asked when she saw Qin Yun's preparations. I still don't know. If the Sword Hall elders can win, I won't fight inside the divine palace. Qin Yun said. His target is the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's sect master, Xiang Junjian. His plan is that once Xiang Junjian leaves the Nine Sun Divine Palace, he will secretly chase after him and find an opportunity to kill Xiang Junjian. Then you, the little palace spirit, can sense Qin Yun's faint killing intent. That guy owes me, it's time to pay it back. Qin Yun smiled, gently caressed the little palace spirit's head and said, Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Then he took out an eye mask and put some beard on his face. If the Sword Hall's heavenly sword god is no match, then he, the one-eyed dragon Qin Fei, will have to go on stage. Chapter 2175. The disciples of Sword Sun God Mountain didn't look weak, and the disciples of Sword Hall were also sword cultivators. However, the Sword Hall did not have any disciples from the Nine Suns royal family yet. Although some of the disciples from the Nine Suns royal family had entered the Sword Hall, they had yet to become sword cultivators. The Sword Sun God Mountain had also noticed this, which was why they dared to challenge the Sword Hall. After everyone retreated, two icily arrogant young men took out their life swords. The Sword Hall and the Sword Sun Divine Mountain had been sworn enemies for many years. Now that the Sword Hall had absorbed the youths of the Nine Suns royal family, they would soon be able to nurture powerful sword cultivators. The Sword Sun God Mountain was worried that they would not be able to defeat the Sword Hall in the future, so they wanted to seize this opportunity to defeat the Sword Hall first. Now that the Nine Yang Divine Palace had returned, the Sword Sun God Mountain would definitely destroy the Nine Yang Divine Palace's prestige, and this was also their only chance. If the disciples of the Nine Suns royal family grew up in the Nine Suns Sacred Hall, the Nine Suns sect would definitely not be a match for them. The two disciples of Sword Hall and Sword Sun God Mountain began to fight. The little palace spirit asked from the side, Big Brother Palace King, what do you think of the Sword Hall's disciples' sword techniques? The swordsmanship of this Sword Hall disciple is a little more conservative. It's mainly focused on defense, Qin Yun said with a frown. Leaning towards defense is correct, but the main purpose of the sword is to attack. If all the sword techniques are used for defense, then the offense will be greatly lacking. The little palace spirit nodded and said, Sword Hall Elder, why did you send this disciple to fight? Is he lacking in confidence? Qin Yun said, The Sword Hall Elder probably wants to play it safe, but when sparring with swords, there is no such thing as stability. Moreover, it is very difficult to defend. As long as there is a slight flaw, the opponent will attack crazily. Victory and defeat are often decided in an instant. The disciples of the Sword Hall did not attack at all during the battle, nor did they have any thoughts of attacking. They only focused on defense. Originally, Qin Yun believed that the Sword Hall disciple was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for his opponent to show a flaw before attacking. However, the patient realized that he was wrong. The disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain had already revealed several openings. As long as they seized those opportunities, they would be able to defeat the disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain. However, the Sword Hall's disciples did not attack in the slightest. They continued to defend. Qin Yun frowned secretly when he saw this. The disciples sent by Sword Hall were very strong, but they were not suitable for such sparring matches. They were only suitable for large-scale battles where they were used to expend their energy or force their opponents to retreat. In comparison, the disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain attacked very fiercely. Under such ferocious attacks, Even a strong defense would be forced to reveal flaws sooner or later. In the hall, sword shadows flashed, and the sword chi was like a cold wind. The two sword cultivators, one on the offensive and the other on the defensive, fought quite intensely. The disciples of the sword hall were indeed very strong in terms of defense. It could be said that they had reached the pinnacle. It could be seen that he mainly cultivated in this aspect. Ignoring Qin Yun, many of the seniors present could tell that the sword hall disciples had missed several opportunities to attack. They all felt it was a pity. The sword hall elder was also a little anxious. He wanted to shout out commands, but he was worried that he would disturb that disciple. This disciple is very strong, but his direction is a little wrong, Qin Yun said. Moreover, his character should be the kind of one-track mind, very stubborn. That's why he is desperately cultivating this kind of defensive sword art. The young palace spirit is very anxious, he said. He didn't attack several times, otherwise he would have won. The sword in the sword sun god mountain disciple's hand suddenly trembled, and a very fierce energy wave surged out. This can be said to be very sudden. A violent sword energy flew out along with the sword wave. It carried a very strong divine power and enveloped the sword hall disciple's body. The sword hall's disciples suddenly became flustered, revealing a huge flaw in their defense. The sword sun god mountain disciple quickly stabbed out with the sword in his hand. The sword hall disciple hurriedly dodged, but his throat was pierced. If he did not dodge slightly, his head would have definitely been pierced. "We admit defeat," the sword hall elder promptly shouted. Blood flowed out of the sword hall disciple's throat, but fortunately it stopped very quickly. He suffered a rather serious injury, but his life was saved. The battle between the sword hall and the sword sun god mountain was a best of 3. If the sword sun god mountain won another round, the sword hall would lose. At that time, the sword hall elder would have to hand over his heavenly sword to Xiang Junjian. "Your sword hall's disciples are much weaker than I imagined." Xiang Junjian laughed coldly. "The sword hall has truly declined for so many years. If it was any other time, the Dragon Hall elder would have definitely ridiculed the sword hall elder, but now he is more concerned. Although the sword hall elder is his sworn enemy, they have been together for many years. If the sword hall elder loses the heavenly sword, it means that he will commit suicide." "Sword hall elder, you will have to send out even stronger disciples next," the Dragon Hall elder said. "Although that disciple just now is heavenly sword god, he is not suitable for this kind of battle." The sword hall elder's expression is also very grave, he said in low voice. "He is our sword hall's only heavenly sword god. The reason why he was able to pass the heavenly sword god's assessment is also because he is very stubborn and only concentrates on cultivating the same type of sword art. The Dragon Hall also has heavenly dragon war god, and the sword hall has heavenly sword god." After Qin Yun heard this, he lightly sighed and said, "It seems like I can only go out." Xiang Junjian laughed loudly and said, "Sword hall elder, it is not the first time your sword hall has lost to us. But every time you are full of confidence and think that you can defeat us, you lose every time." The sword hall elder gnashed his teeth, looked at Xiang Junjian and said with cold snort, "This time I did not underestimate the enemy. That disciple just now is the strongest heavenly sword god our sword hall has nurtured for many years." "So what? Didn't we still lose?" Xiang Junjian said with smile. At this moment, Qin Yun suddenly descended from the top of the palace. After he landed, many youngsters present let out cries of alarm. Qin Yun's one-eyed dragon attire is something many people are familiar with. Qin family's one-eyed dragon shone brilliantly in the Medicine King alliance. The heavenly palace's entrance is directly above the palace. Qin Yun descending from above means that he is inside the heavenly palace. Xiang Junjian also has some understanding of the Nine Yang Divine Palace. He did not expect that this one-eyed dragon could actually enter the heavenly palace. Next, let me fight. Qin Yun looked at Xiang Junjian. His eyes revealed traces of killing intent. Dragon Hall Elder and Bai Si are very happy because they know that Qin Yun is a heavenly dragon war god. That kind of strength is very formidable. Xiang Junjian looked at Qin Yun and said with cold snort, "Qin Fei? You are indeed in the Nine Yang Divine Palace. We have been looking for you everywhere." "What? Didn't your 9 Sun sects lose miserably enough in the Medicine King alliance?" Qin Yun said with sneer. 9 Sun sects disciples also suffered great losses in the Medicine King alliance. Don't think that just because you have the 9 Sun royal family's bloodline, we are afraid of you. Who doesn't know that you used poison back then? Now, even if you use poison again, you won't be able to win. Xiang Junjian said with sneer. Whether Qin Yun used poison or not, many of the older generation are very clear. Especially the 9 Sun sects people, they naturally know that Qin Yun did not use poison. However, they are very unhappy, so they deliberately spread rumors to discredit him. The Sword Hall Elder finally saw the young man who entered the heavenly palace. He is certain that he will lose today because whether it is his Sword Hall or the other palaces, none of them have any decent disciples. "We will know after we fight," Qin Yun said. "This is a battle between sword cultivators. Will you also use a sword?" Xiang Junjian said. "When fighting, one can only use weapons like Origin Sword. Do you have one?" Qin Yun suddenly condensed a golden mist in his hand and then transformed it into a sword. He said, "Is this okay? A sword condensed from divine power? You want to compete with a sword cultivator's Origin Sword?" Sword Sun Divine Mountain's disciples loudly mocked. The group of Sword Sun Divine Mountain's young disciples all laughed loudly. Even the Sword Hall's disciples are somewhat embarrassed because they know that a sword condensed from divine power is completely incomparable to an Origin Sword. "I can defeat you without using a sword, but since you look down on my sword condensed from divine power, I will use this sword to defeat you." Qin Yun looked at the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's disciples and said with a faint, imposing manner. Xiang Junjian said, "Hong Shirtsong, if you kill him, your name will spread throughout the Divine Desolate." Qin Imperial Clan's one-eyed dragon Qin Fei is a famous person among the younger generation. Becoming famous is something that many young people yearn for. After Hong Shirtsong heard this, he became even more excited and said, "He can defeat heavenly gods, I can also defeat heavenly gods. He is definitely not my match. To deal with this kind of lowly person who only knows how to use poison, I can dismember his corpse in 3 sword strikes." Hong Shirtsong is a great god. His strength is extremely strong. The remnant sword energy here whistled from time to time. It is like a knife cutting on people's bodies. "You obtained the primal chaos race's bloodline?" Qin Yun looked at Hong Shirtsong and said, "You have primal chaos divine power on you. You have such a powerful bloodline, yet it took you so long to defeat the Sword Hall's disciples? It seems like the primal chaos race's bloodline has been given to dogs." The Sword Hall's people immediately burst into an uproar. No wonder their heavenly sword god lost. He actually met someone with primal chaos bloodline. Many people already knew that the primal chaos race's bloodline could be inherited. The primal chaos race also used this point to bribe the big shots of the great powers. For example, the Heavenly Emperor and Heavenly Mother of the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. "You have the bloodline of the 9 Suns royal family, right? But you don't have the 9 Yang Divine Mark. It seems like your bloodline isn't that great either." Hong Shirtsong tightly held his Origin Sword and said with a sneer, "Today, I will definitely prove that the primal chaos bloodline is stronger than the 9 Yang bloodline." Hong Shirtsong really did have the primal chaos bloodline. Previously, everyone thought that Qin Yun was just spouting nonsense. The upper echelons of the 9 Yang Divine Palace did not realize this, which made them feel somewhat embarrassed. Everyone was very curious about Hong Shirtsong's identity. How did he obtain the primal chaos bloodline? Chapter 2176. Sword Hall Elder and the other upper echelons also went to open the barrier. Bai Si and Dragon Hall Elder are not worried about Qin Yun. They have seen Qin Yun's strength with their own eyes. That kind of unfathomable strength makes it very difficult to judge how strong he is. At this time, Grandma Qianghua, Medicine King Qin and a group of Qin family elders arrived. They learned that Sword Sun God Mountain's sect master Xiang Junjian has entered Nine Yang Divine Palace. That's why they rushed over. All the new Nine Sun royal family's clans know about Nine Yang Divine Palace's situation. Although the Nine Yang Divine Palace had the ability to help them quickly build the altar, the entire Nine Yang Divine Palace lacked new blood. That's why they agreed to join hands with Nine Sun royal family. All the Nine Sun royal family's clans have seen Nine Yang Divine Palace's inheritance. They all hope that their children can grasp those inheritance and obtain formidable strength. Now that Nine Yang Divine Palace is in trouble, Qin family naturally came to help because they are already one. Xiang Junjian, long time no see. Grandma Qianghua said with sneer. Your Sword Sun God Mountain and Primal Chaos Race are very close. Primal Chaos Race can't attack our Nine Sun royal family, so they let you dogs come and cause trouble? Old Granny Qianghua, you will cry. Xiang Junjian shouted in anger. Xiang Junjian, are you courting death? Medicine King Qin saw someone insult his wife and immediately shouted in anger. Xiang Junjian said with sneer. Courting death? Do you think that just because you recovered your Nine Sun royal family bloodline, you can do whatever you want in Divine Desolate? You don't know anything about the strongest existence in Divine Desolate. The people of Qin family also saw Qin Yun preparing to fight someone in the palace hall. Grandma Qianghua is not worried about Qin Yun, she only feels that it is strange that Qin Yun does not have Nine Sun divine mark on his forehead. Your Nine Sun sex actually declined to the point that you have to kneel and lick Primal Chaos Race. No wonder, after all, your previous master Heavenly Law Divine Domain is also kneeling and licking Primal Chaos Race. Slaves like you naturally have to kneel and lick. Qin Huawang said with sneer. Xiang Yunjian's expression turned cold and said, Your Qin family is speaking less nonsense. If you have the guts, go and destroy my Sword Sun God Mountain. Let's see how powerful you are and how strong my Sword Sun God Mountain is. After the Qin family people arrived, Qin Yun looked at those seniors. Indeed, they all have Nine Sun divine marks on their foreheads. Hong Shirtsong said coldly, The Qin family is so arrogant because of this one-eyed man. He used poison to defeat the Primal Chaos Race's royal grandson, making people think that his bloodline is very powerful. Only we know that this guy is an expert in using poison. That's why he won. Upon hearing this, Bai Si, the elder of the Dragon Hall, and the young geniuses who had entered the Dragon Hall were displeased, and even a little angry. Previously, because they believed in such a saying, it led them to believe that Qin Yun was nothing great. Hong Shirtsong was a sword cultivator. His destiny's divine sword was very strong, and adding on the fact that he had obtained a powerful primal chaos bloodline, he believed that he was definitely very strong. Hong Shirtsong, when you kill him, remember not to kill him so quickly. You have to take it slow. You have to let these fellows see how weak this so-called Nine Sun royal family genius is. Xiang Junjian laughed and said, Hong Shirtsong defeated the Sword Hall disciples before, so he can still stay on the stage. As long as he wins this battle, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain will obtain a great victory and also win the Sword Hall Elder's heavenly sword. The Sword Hall Elder's heart is heavy. He doesn't think very highly of Qin Yun because he knows how strong a person with Destiny Divine Sword and Primal Chaos Bloodline is. Begin. The Sword Hall Elder's expression is grave as he loudly shouted. At the beginning, Hong Shirtsong's body moved like lightning. The Destiny Divine sword in his hand flickered with cold light as it stabbed towards Qin Yun's head. His first move was a killing move. It must be said that Hong Shirtsong is indeed a sword expert. Not only is his Destiny Divine sword very strong, his sword moves are also very brilliant. It looks like it is stabbing towards Qin Yun's head, but it is actually stabbing towards Qin Yun's legs. When everyone thought that the sword was stabbing towards Qin Yun's head, Qin Yun is actually defending himself. He used the heavenly strong Dao technique to make his palms very hard, and slapped the sword that was stabbing towards him. Clang! The sharp sword that was stabbing towards Qin Yun's legs was slapped away by Qin Yun's palm. The condensed sword energy even scattered. This sword strike is extremely thrilling. It caused all the men present to feel a chill in their legs. If they were to be stabbed, it would truly be fatal. Everyone is secretly alarmed. Qin Yun can actually see the trajectory of Hong Shirtsong's sword and know where the sword is stabbing towards. Even many of the seniors present were unable to see through it. Hong Shirtsong also did not expect that Qin Yun, who looks like he is full of flaws, would be able to defend so tightly. Let's see how long you can last. Hong Shirtsong attacked again. He rushed over and used a few sets of fast and ruthless sword techniques in succession, setting off waves of sword shadow energy waves. That kind of sword shadow energy wave, along with the powerful sword aura, wave after wave, unceasingly and extremely ferociously attacked Qin Yun. Even the Sword Hall Elder and the other upper echelons of the Nine Yang Divine Palace are amazed by Hong Shirtsong's superb sword technique usage. The people of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain also burst into cheers. Hong Shirtsong's sword technique is not only extremely gorgeous, its offensive is also very ferocious. Just looking at it makes one feel as if they are unable to breathe. If they are even a little bit careless, their entire body will be pierced into a beehive or even torn to shreds by the sword energy. At the beginning, everyone felt that Qin Yun would be stabbed by Hong Shirtsong's next sword strike. However, no matter how hard Hong Shirtsong tries, no matter how sinister and ruthless his sword technique is, no matter how fast his sword strike is, he is unable to stab Qin Yun. Everyone also noticed that the sword Qin Yun condensed from divine power is always on his back. He did not use it to defend. When he defended, he did not use his sword. Instead, he used his powerful divine power to directly slap away Hong Shirtsong's sword with his palm. "Do you only know how to defend?" Xiang Junjian shouted loudly. That heavenly sword god from the Sword Hall has been constantly defending. Now he is very seriously watching the battle. He suddenly realized something and shouted in low voice. His sword is not used for defense but for offense. Sword can be used for defense but it must be used for offense. Qin Yun said. He is also giving pointers to that heavenly sword god. Thank you for your guidance. Heavenly sword god said. It's good that you understand. After Qin Yun finished speaking, he suddenly hacked with his sword and clashed with Hong Shirtsong's Destiny Divine sword. His sudden attack really caught Hong Shirtsong unprepared, and everyone present is somewhat dumbfounded. They can see that Qin Yun did not attack just now because he wanted to give pointers to Heavenly Sword God. At this kind of time, he is actually giving pointers to others. This is truly shocking. The moment the two swords collided, divine power transformed into a gale that rushed out in all directions. Hong Shirtsong only felt an incomparably heavy power. His sword-holding hand was shaken by that heavy power and became numb. Most dreadful thing is that his sword's blade seems to have cracked. Qin Yun's seemingly casual sword strike contains formidable power. Moreover, the sword is also dreadfully heavy. Therefore, although it looks very casual, it is actually very deadly. Hong Shirtsong's expression became somewhat fearful because he sensed a very dreadful killing intent. You look down on my sword, but you will die under my sword. I will let you know that you lost to my sword and not to me. Qin Yun's sword suddenly swept horizontally towards Hong Shirtsong's neck. Hong Shirtsong promptly brandished his sword to block. Bang! The sword in his hand was instantly sliced apart by Qin Yun's heavy sword. Together with his neck, it fell to the ground. Qin Yun's two quick sword moves looked very casual and without any technique. It is not some profound sword art. However, they moved according to his heart and very naturally slashed out. Hong Shirtsong has been directly killed. Even his destiny divine sword has been destroyed. It means that he is completely dead. Everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air. A sword condensed from divine power is actually so dreadful. Even a sword cultivator's destiny sword has been destroyed. Xiang Yunjian's face immediately became filled with anger and malevolence. He furiously shouted at Qin Yun, "You bastard! You dare to kill someone who obtained primal chaos bloodline. I have killed primal chaos royal descendants, let alone primal chaos race's lackey." Qin Yun indifferently said, "Best of three, quickly send people up and finish this quickly." Earlier, when Qin Yun dodged Hong Shirtsong's quick sword, everyone thought that Qin Yun and Hong Shirtsong should be evenly matched. But after these two sword moves, everyone realized that Hong Shirtsong is not even worthy to carry his shoes. This is simply instant kill. If not for Qin Yun wanting to teach that heavenly sword god a lesson, he would have already killed Hong Shirtsong with two sword move. He would not have let Hong Shirtsong waste so much time. With Hong Shirtsong being hung up and beaten like this, how could Sword Sun God Mountain's young people dare to fight? Not to mention those young people, even heavenly god elders would not dare to fight. You used poison. Xiang Junjian shouted again. Poison? Qin Yun coldly looked at Xiang Junjian. Your 9 sons' sect slandered me for using poison. It is only to give yourself a way out. When the Sword Hall elder saw Qin Yun's strength, he was completely convinced in his heart. He will no longer oppose him entering the heavenly palace. And at this moment everyone is incomparably puzzled, because they are very clear that Qin Yun did not use poison at all. However, he is just a profound god. Why does he have such formidable strength? The Sword Hall elder promptly closed the barrier and said, Sword Sun God Mountain, please send your next disciple up. Xiang Junjian fiercely looked at Qin Yun and suddenly summoned 2 long swords. The 2 long swords in his hands, as soon as they appeared, they released a very powerful dragon aura. Those 2 swords, 1 gold and 1 silver, are engraved with dragon totem and sword totem. When Qin Yun saw the sword totem, his eyes immediately widened. He is very familiar with that sword totem because he was the one who carved it. And he also sensed a very familiar aura from those 2 swords. Those are Jian Rian's origin divine swords. Jian Rian's 2 swords actually fell into Xiang Yunjian's hands. Anger immediately rose in Qin Yun's heart, but he fiercely suppressed it. He almost couldn't control himself and rushed over. Xiang Junjian is at the sacred god realm. It would be very difficult to kill him in one move. At that time, he might even run away with the 2 swords. Qin Yun wants to take back Jian Rian's 2 swords first and then figure out the situation. Chapter 2177. Qin Yun's heart is in chaos because Jian Rian's twin swords are actually in Xiang Yunjian's hands. Jian Rian is his good friend. Because she lost to him before, she recognized him as big brother and he often calls her sister Yin. This long-legged and valiant female sword cultivator has always been in the Guanghan Palace. Her strength is not weak and she is together with Jian Linglong and the others. Therefore, her twin sword totems can evolve and strengthen. Qin Yun took a deep breath and tried his best to restrain himself. He will wait until he gets rid of Ah Sen and retrieve the twin swords. He already thought that Jian Rian might be killed. Thinking of this, his heart is in chaos and he feels very uncomfortable. Ling Yuner said, "Xiao Yun, calm down. Sister Yen will definitely be fine. She has always been in the Guang Han Palace and will definitely be taken care of by Muyu. The divine moon of the heavens will definitely protect her. Even if her origin sword is taken away, she will definitely survive." Ling Yun is also comforting Qin Yun's heart that is about to explode. Ah Sun is Xiang Yunjian's disciple. Maybe he also has primal chaos bloodline. "Xiao Qin, be careful," Granny Chunghua said in low voice. Qin Yun has been looking at Ah Sun, who is walking in. His calm yet somewhat gloomy eyes are filled with a kind of sharpness. That kind of sharpness is incomparably sharp, as if it is flickering with a very strong killing intent. Even Ah Sun feels some pressure. However, he is holding a pair of very strong divine swords in his hands, so his confidence suddenly increased by a lot. "As long as I get rid of you, these 2 swords will be mine." Sun laughed sinisterly. The clothes on his upper body suddenly shattered. Many runes appeared on his upper body. Is that a shield totem? He was born with a shield totem? Doesn't that mean he will have a very strong defense? Someone said in surprise. "Right now, I am not afraid of any attack." Sun laughed loudly. Not afraid of any attack, and having a pair of very strong swords in his hands is very terrifying. It means that he can attack with all his might without any scruples. After the barrier opened, the battle began. Ah Sun laughed loudly and rushed towards Qin Yun. However, just as he took a few steps, a very strong supergravity pressed down on his body. Qin Yun is now using all his strength to release the most powerful supergravity. Ah Sun is suddenly enveloped by an incomparably heavy power, and his body burst out with crackling sounds. Even though he has shield totem, it is not comparable to Qin Yun's formidable Nether Sun totem. Supergravity is released by the Nether Sun totem. Any shield totem's power will be directly destroyed. "Ah Sun, hurry up and attack!" Xiang Junjian shouted. He was not inside the barrier, so he did not know how terrifying that supergravity was. The bones in Ah Sun's body could be said to be mostly broken. Qin Yun's supergravity has a very strong penetrating power. When used together with the penetration divine ability, it can directly penetrate skin and flesh, severely injuring internal bones. Qin Yun arrived beside Ah Sun in 2-step. He snatched Ah Sun's 2 swords and then infused them with powerful absolute yang divine power. Hua hua hua! The 2 swords danced wildly, and the sword chi roared like waves. It was furious, and it cut Ah Sun's body back and forth. In the blink of an eye, Ah Sun was turned into ashes. Everyone was tongue-tied. Ah Sun seemed to be stronger than Hong Shirtsong, but before he could even make a move, he was turned into ashes. I'm going to kill you." Xiang Yunjian's eyes were bloodshot, killing intent surging as he roared. "You dare!" Sword Hall Elder shouted. Dragon Hall Elder, White Death, Granny Jasper Flower, Medicine King Qin and other Qin family elders are now ready to attack. Sword Hall Elder did not remove the barrier. He is worried that Xiang Junjian would go in and kill Qin Yun. "How did you get these 2 swords? These are other people's destiny divine swords," Qin Yun said in cold voice. "You care a lot about these 2 swords, right?" Xiang Junjian suddenly laughed sinisterly and said, "I know, that girl named Jian Rian is actually related to you." Qin Yun immediately held the 2 swords with both hands and put them away. Then he summoned the 9 desolate divine saber. "What happened to her?" Qin Yun asked. "Her? Maybe she's dead?" "I did it, I snatched these 2 swords from her hands." Xiang Junjian laughed heartily. He can see that Qin Yun is very angry, so he constantly provoked Qin Yun. "This girl is indeed a pretty good sword cultivator, but she met me, ha ha ha." Xiang Junjian swept his eyes over everyone and said with a loud laugh, "You one-eyed dragon, seeing you so angry, I feel really good." That girl named Jian Ruyan said she came from Guang Han Palace, but I am not afraid of some Guang Han Palace. Shao Qin, he is deliberately provoking you, don't listen to him. Granny Jasper Flower said. Qin Fei, you must calm down. Dragon Hall Elder promptly shouted. Sword Hall Elder did not remove the barrier. He is truly worried that Qin Yun will rush over. Xiang Junjian looked at Qin Yun and said with proud smile, if you have the guts, come and attack me. Although you are strong, I am still a sacred god. No matter how strong you are, you can't kill me. Not to mention you, even if all the old guys here join hands with me, they might not be able to kill me. Xiang Yunjian's 2 outstanding disciples have been killed. He is already extremely angry in his heart. Now that he can provoke Qin Yun, he feels extremely happy. Why did you attack her? Qin Yun's voice is incomparably ice-cold. No reason, I just saw that she had 2 good swords, so I wanted to snatch them. After I snatched them away, she ran away. Without these 2 swords, she would most likely commit suicide. Xiang Junjian said with proud smile. Qin Yun's eyes suddenly became incomparably red. Heavenly Eye has already opened. Qin Yun's anger is like the violent wrath of heavenly might. Incomparably bitter killing intent pervaded the barrier and already penetrated it. Shao Qin, Big Sister Rian is not dead, she is still in Guang Han Palace. Qin Huayu suddenly shouted. I met her, she asked me many things about you. It's good that she is still alive. Qin Yun coldly looked at Xiang Junjian. His killing intent did not decrease at all. So what? Don't tell me you can kill me now? Help her vent her anger? Xiang Junjian laughed loudly and said, that girl, when I snatched her origin sword, she screamed in pain, ha ha ha. Xiang Junjian is standing outside the barrier. He laughed loudly at Qin Yun. He is a sacred deity, moreover, he is one of the big shots of the 9 Sun sect. Moreover, he is a sword cultivator, moreover his cultivation is very high. Even if Granny Qianghua and other elders join hands, they would not be able to kill Xiang Junjian. Moreover, there are many juniors here. If Xiang Junjian goes berserk, all the juniors here might die. Qin Yun suddenly flew over. The 9 desolate divine saber in his hand crazily hacked down, unexpectedly splitting the barrier. What caused people to be most alarmed is that after the 9 desolate divine saber split the barrier, the power is still incomparably fierce and landed on Xiang Yunjian's body. Boom! At this moment, everyone is incomparably shocked in their hearts. The saber in Qin Yun's hand hacked down on Xiang Yunjian's body. Halfway through, it suddenly split open like a flower blooming. The 9 desolate divine saber burst out with formidable power, but it also suffered great damage. Furthermore, the surface of Qin Yun's body also split open. In some places one can even see his dazzling golden bones. Qin Yun's body was actually torn apart by a formidable power. What kind of formidable power is able to tear apart his dreadful body? Qin Yun possesses the 9 Sun royal family's bloodline. He uses Heavenly Firm Dao technique and Heavenly Might Tyrant body. He cultivates 9 Extinction Divine Body technique, but his body is not strong enough. It cannot withstand his full power. Half of Sacred God Xiang Yunjian's body has been split open. He is also seriously injured. He stared at Qin Yun's eyes and felt that they are incomparably familiar. He remembered the king of Pantheon. It's you. Xiang Junjian recognized Qin Yun and felt endless fear. Dragon Palace Elder and Sword Hall Elder immediately rushed over. They brandished their sabers and swords. Using all their strength, they fiercely hacked at Xiang Junjian, thoroughly ending his life. After killing Xiang Junjian, everyone here is looking at Qin Yun in a daze. Qin Yun waved his hand, collected all the fragments of the 9 desolate divine saber, and placed them inside the divine universe purple sun of the 9 sun divine souls' first pearl to repair them. He indifferently said, Imprison all the Sword Sun Divine Mountain disciples, today's matter cannot be spread out. Although his tone is very calm, it is filled with a very strong majesty, as if he is ordering everyone present. Although it is as if he is issuing an order, even Granny Cheonghua and Dragon Palace Elder don't feel any discomfort, it is as if it is a matter of course. Qin Yun arrived beside Qin Huayu, pulled her hand, jumped to the sky above the palace, and entered the heavenly hall. All the Sword Sun Divine Mountain disciples and middle-aged men have been captured and imprisoned. And the 9 Sun Divine Palace's old and young people still don't dare to believe the scene that just happened. If there was no barrier, maybe he could have killed Xiang Junjian with one saber strike. Dragon Palace Elder exclaimed in admiration. Xiang Junjian definitely did not expect that someone would be able to split the barrier, moreover with such dreadful power, so he did not have any defense. White Death said. Who would have thought? None of us expected it. Sword Hall Elder sighed and said, That brat is truly too dreadful. White Death looked at the sky above the palace and said with sigh, It seems like only he has the qualifications to enter the heavenly hall. This, everyone line up and sign the soul contract. Don't let today's matter leak out. We killed the Sword Sun Divine Mountain Sect Master. If news of this gets out, the Myriad Realms Divine Court will come looking for trouble with us. Granny Cheonghua said. No one had any objections, they began to sign the soul contract. They will guard this secret to the death. Dragon Palace Elder patted Sword Hall Elder's shoulder and said with smile, That brat is very powerful, right? You didn't see him jump into the hidden dragon arena and then jump back up, that kind of imposing manner, hee. He is indeed very powerful. That guy Xiang Junjian, I didn't dare to attack him for many years. I didn't expect that he would lose half his life with a single saber strike. Sword Hall Elder recalled the scene just now and cannot help but sigh with emotion. Qin Yun brought Qin Huayu inside the heavenly hall. Little Qin, are you all right? Qin Huayu wiped away the blood on Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun burst out with formidable power and his body could not endure it, causing his body to be torn apart. I'm fine. Big Sister Qin, is Sister Yen really in the Guanghan Palace? Qin Yun asked. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.